Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are talking about what if Naruto was reborn in HighSchool DXD Part 2. Kaguya is a last dich effort sends Naruto to another dimension, in which Naruto learns about his origin and finds something new. Love if you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe, it will help us make more videos for you. Let's begin. Staria, Wallachia. Our little servant should be in Kyoto by now. Carmela stated with a happier tone as she stood before Hector, Striga, Morina, and Lenore. Were you able to make the modifications that I requested? Yes, Lady Carmilla. Hector replied with the utmost politeness. It was difficult, the subject's body barely survived the process, nonetheless it was a success. Carmilla smirked, her fangs showing. Perfect, you have earned a reward, Hector. Carmilla stated as she turned to face Lenore. Lenore, grant any gift of your desire to Hector. Lenore smiled as she bowed. Thank you, Carmilla. Lenore said before she took Hector's hand. Let's go, Hector. Striga and Morina watched with slight disgust, since they were a gay couple and disliked the thought of bedding with a man. Don't give him that look. Carmilla lightly scolded. He made us the perfect weapon, so he has definitely earned it. If you say so. Morina muttered with a shudder. Kyoto, Japan. Naruto, instinctively, raised his hand as the creature jumped at him in a blinding speed. Shinra Tensei. He shouted as he caught the creature in his attack, pushing it straight into the ground. Why? What the fuck? Naruto thought as he landed on the ground. The creature staggered to stand, facing Naruto as it took heavy breaths. Nar, Yuto. It spoke in a high-pitched, raspy voice. Naruto. How does it know my name? Naruto thought as he activated his Byakugan and channeled chakra into his fingertips. I should disable his body and then get answers after that. You never used the gentle fist style, so you going to randomly attack the pressure points? Kokuo asked in concern. Naruto nodded as he and the creature lunged at each other, striking it in the pressure points. What? Naruto thought as he noticed his chakra get siphoned from his fingers each moment he was in contact. His pressure points didn't stop him. The creature shifted, seemingly in pain as muscle fibers started to form over its shoulders and neck, as Naruto felt its power increase slightly. Can it absorb chakra through physical contact? Naruto thought as he deactivated his Byakugan. Seems like it, what are you going to do? Jayaki asked. Naruto watched the slightly refleshed creature as it growled. I don't know, but I have to be careful. Naruto thought as two Truth Seeker orbs came to his hands, forming into bow staffs. At this, the creature let out a roar, open hand raised. What is it doing? Naruto thought as he carefully watched, waiting for an opportunity to strike. In the compound Naruto and Tamamo called home, a specific item shifted toward the wall. The creature roared again, and this item took off, breaking through stone and wood, whipping through the air before it landed in the creature's hand. That's... Naruto thought in disbelief as the creature swung the item downward, the sheath coming off the sword's blade as it gripped it tightly. No, Wallachia, Romania. It was a quiet funeral. Vlad and Lisa watching as the coffin holding their son be lowered. Hilda watching the dirt-cover-said coffin as she held her pregnant belly. Tamamo there for support as she held Hilda's hand as the last amount of earth covered Adrian's coffin. Naruto didn't come. Hilda hiccuped, expecting Naruto to be there. Tamamo sadly shook her head. I asked him to come, but he refused to come. Tamamo replied as she and Hilda sat down, their feet swelling from how long they had been standing. I understand. Hilda replied as she wanted to question why Naruto didn't come to Adrian's funeral. As the two soon-to-be mothers sat in silence, Vlad and Lisa left in silence, leaving some guards with Tamamo and Hilda. Sweetheart? Lisa asked as Vlad squeezed her hand. Lisa? Vlad said weakly as he kept his emotions in check, refusing to shed a single tear. I know I made this offer once, and you refused, but... Lisa pressed her finger against his lips. I know, you want to turn me into a vampire, so we can be together forever, right? Lisa asked with a sad smile. Vlad nodded pathetically. She knows me so well. He thought as Lisa hugged him, her head on his chest. I know, you are worried about losing me, but I am a human, so I only have so much time before I must go. Lisa stated. But, please, Lisa, think about it. Vlad said in slight desperation as he grabbed her shoulders and pushed her far enough to look her in the eyes. I don't want to think of a world without you in it. Adrian's death is hurting him more than I thought. Lisa thought as Vlad shamefully closed his eyes. I don't want to be alone. Vlad admitted. Lisa jabbed him in the chest. You, alone? She asked with slight anger, crossing her arms. From what I remember, you have a daughter-in-law and a grandchild on the way. So, even if I do die, you will have someone there for you. It won't be the same. Vlad replied. Lisa sighed as she turned to walk. I know. She stated. But if you act selfishly, then I feel like you will not be yourself, dear. Vlad walked next to his wife. Yes, you are right. He admitted. They arrived back to their castle in silence. Meanwhile, Kyoto Cemetery. Naruto sat in the cemetery with a tea kettle, a water husk, and some wood with tea leaves. He sat before Iroha's grave, which was beside Marco's, Luten's, Yoshimaru's, and Maiko's. Naruto set up the wood, his finger igniting it with blue flames. Thank you, Madatabi. Naruto thought as he poured the water into the tea kettle. No problem, Naruto. Madatabi purred as she and the rest of her siblings watched through Naruto's eyes. Naruto set the kettle above the blue fire, waiting patiently as it boiled. Once it was boiled, Naruto pulled out 2 tea bowls, a chokin, tea caddy, tea whisk, and a tea scoop. Using the scoop, Naruto added tea to the tea bowls, then added hot water before he mixed the tea and water with the whisk. Here you go, Grandpa. Naruto said as he placed the cup of jasmine tea on said yokai's grave, sadly smiling. So, Tamamo and I are going to be parents soon, 4 or so months. He got no reply, just wanting to talk out loud. If it's a boy, I was thinking of naming the child after you. Naruto continued as he sipped some of his tea. If it's a girl, I'll let Tamamo decide. Still, no answer. Naruto's smile faltered. I know, you are wondering why I am not at Adrian's funeral right now. He stated in shame. I just don't think I would be appropriate for his murderer to be there. Naruto sat in silence as he started guiltily at Iroha's grave. Nothing was said, but Naruto could understand what Iroha would have said. Nodding without saying anything, Naruto finished his tea and made a shadow clone to clean up as he opened a portal to Wallachia. Wallachia. Tamamo held Hilda as they started to stand up, since Tamamo had to go home. Before she or Hilda could take a single step, Naruto appeared through his portal, closing it in his Rinne-Sharingan as his feet hit the ground. Naruto? Tamamo asked in surprise as she saw her husband suddenly appear. Naruto blinked, expecting to have been alone when he arrived. Sorry. He apologized as he turned to Adrian's grave. I just wanted to pay respects, you know. Naruto looked at his friend's grave, feeling his heart weigh heavy, nearly overpowering him. Hey, Adrian. Naruto said as he sat on the grass. I know, I might be the last person you want to hear, but I just wanted to say. He took a deep breath, wiping his eyes of the tears watering in them. I just wanted to say that I am happy we were friends, no, we were brothers, and I wish you peace in the next life. Naruto continued. And that I am happy you are now in a better place. Hilda separated from Tamamo and sat next to Naruto. Thank you, Naruto. Hilda thanked as she touched her husband's tombstone. He would be happy knowing you came here to say goodbye. Thank you, Hilda. Naruto stated as he stood up, helping Hilda up. You need help home? No, my guards will help me. Hilda stated as said bodyguards appeared. Have a good day. Oh. Lady Teeps, you alright? One of the guards asked as she nearly doubled over, clutching her belly. Nothing's wrong. Hilda stated, smiling a bit. Just the baby kicking. She felt a second kick. Want to feel, Naruto, Tamamo? Hilda asked as she looked at her friends. Tamamo walked up and touched Hilda's belly, smiling brightly. Naruto, you have to feel the baby. Tamamo said with a bright smile. Naruto slowly touched Hilda's stomach, and felt weepy. The tiny unborn child inside Hilda's womb had its untamed magic flowing in all directions. It feels like Adrian's magic. Naruto thought as he smiled. She is going to be very strong. Naruto blurted out as he removed his hand from Hilda's belly. I'm going to have a girl. Hilda gasped, covering her mouth with her hands. Naruto was smacked by Tamamo. Stupid, you shouldn't have said that. Tamamo stated angrily, making Naruto chuckle. Skip, 3 months, 2 weeks, 10 days, 1352, Wallachia. Vlad and Lisa heard Hilda scream in immense pain as she was surrounded by doctors, partially squatting as she was giving birth to her daughter. Should we call Naruto and Tamamo to help? Lisa asked in worry, since Hilda had been in labor for over 12 hours now. No, we shouldn't bother them. Remember, Tamamo is going to give birth any day now. Vlad reminded Lisa before both of them winced, covering their ears as a piercing shriek rippled through the castle infirmary, followed by a doctor being bitten by Hai when they tried to help her. Hilda felt so much pain. It felt like her crotch was on fire from having to dilate 10 centimeters, and then having to push her child through said opening was something that was followed by pressure on her organs, a tearing sensation going through her lower half with every puss. Okay, Lady Hilda, a few more pushes. A male nurse said as he and a co-worker held her hands, which were breaking their own, but they used magic to heal their hands as she crushed them. Hilda squinted as she pushed, veins appearing on her neck and forehead, coated in sweat as she wanted to lay down, legs hurting and she was thirsty. Hilda cried out as all pain suddenly numbed as one doctor reached between her legs as the head of her daughter appeared. One more. The doctor encouraged, carefully preparing to take hold of the newborn. Hilda, with her remaining strength, pushed as hard as she could, and with that, the rest of the head and shoulders were revealed and her daughter gave her first shrill scream of life as the doctor pulled her out, the umbilical cord following before it was snipped. Extremely exhausted, Hilda was helped to the bed, gasping for oxygen as the nurses helped cool her down by wiping her forehead of said sweat and holding a cup water with a straw for her to drink. Meanwhile, the doctor who held the screaming and bloodied baby carefully cleaned her up, wiping the placenta fluid off her before drying her off and wrapping her in a soft blanket. Lady Hilda, the doctor said proudly as she turned to her master. Here is your daughter. Hilda weakly reached out, smiling with tears of joy flowing from her eyes as she accepted her child. The doctor went to the door to the infirmary and saw Vlad and Lisa. The baby has been born, she announced proudly, nearly being barreled over by the grandparents. Vlad and Lisa walked next to Hilda, who was cradling her daughter. She's beautiful, Lisa said with tears, a happy smile on her face. Such pink hair, Vlad stated dumbly as he saw the chubby baby with the small amount of light crimson hair on their head cuddle with Hilda. Lisa pinched Vlad's side. Don't be rude, Lisa stated darkly, not allowing anyone to insult her granddaughter. Vlad shrank under his wife's gaze. Yes dear, he replied. Lisa nodded. That's right, she thought before she turned back to Hilda. You have any names picked out for her, Hilda? Hilda nodded tiredly. Yes, I chose the name the moment Naruto told me I would have a daughter, she stated happily. She is Akasha Lisa Teeps. That's a wonderful name, Vlad said as he reached out a clawed finger and gently caressed Akasha's chubby cheek. His breath hitched as they all watched Akasha grab his finger with her stubby hand. Vlad's eyes watered as he felt her grip his finger, quite tightly for a baby. I love you, Akasha, he mumbled, making Lisa as she hugged her husband. Akasha smiled as she was surrounded by love. Meanwhile, Tamamo was sleeping as Naruto signed off some paperwork, since Tamamo had been on leave since her 6th month of pregnancy. I can't wait for our child to be born, Naruto thought as he stretched his arms over his head. Because after that we can focus on those letters the myth factions sent us. Anyway, time for bed. As Naruto stood up, he heard a squeaking sound near the door that led outside. Upon opening it, a bat flew in, holding a letter in its small feet. It let the letter go, which Naruto caught before it flew off. A letter, Naruto thought as he opened it up, smiling as he saw a small portrait of the Teeps family, and a small note. Say hello to your niece, Akasha Lisa Teeps. Hilda. Naruto awed at Akasha's appearance. Hopefully, our baby is this cute, Naruto thought happily as he put the letter to the side before he got into bed, holding his wife and child closely. 2.5 days later, Tamamo let out pained screams as the doctor used their chakra to scan the baby while Naruto held Tamamo's hand as she lay on the bed, covered in sweat after 3 hours of labor pains as she was dilating. This isn't good, the doctor said as she thought as fast as possible, calmly despite her panic. What's wrong? Naruto asked as he winced, his hand breaking again from Tamamo's grip. The baby, she will die, the doctor stated. Naruto and Tamamo's hearts dropped. She won't live. Tamamo asked, heartbreaking as she cried as the baby tried to be born, but couldn't since she was only 4 centimeters dilated. Well, that is the wrong wording. The doctor replied, making Naruto want to smack her. But she could die. Her umbilical cord is wrapped tightly around her neck, meaning if she is born naturally, she will be choked. We have to do a cesarean delivery. What does that mean? Naruto asked as Tamamo cried in pain. We will cut her open right above the womb, and safely cut the umbilical cord before removing your child through the same cut instead of allowing a natural birth. The doctor explained, pushing her glasses up. But it's risky, the cesarean delivery is still quite new, so the possibility of negative repercussions are high. Do it. Tamamo gasped as she grimaced in agony. I don't want to lose this child. I can't, not like the other one. Naruto knew exactly what she meant. Maiko's greatest act of cruelty to Tamamo was forcing their previous physician, Dr. Izzo, to abort their first child, thus the scarring that is currently on Tamamo's stomach, right where the C-section would take place. All right, Empress. The doctor replied as she looked at her leader before looking at Naruto. Sadly, you have to leave, we can't have you in our way, Naruto. Naruto wanted to refuse, not desiring to leave his wife at this time, but nodded in understanding. Naru. Tamamo gasped as the doctor left to make preparations, smiling through the pain. We will be fine. Naruto gripped her hand, kissing her sweaty forehead. I won't be that far away. Naruto stated as he squeezed her hand one last time before the doctors shooed him out of the room. Outside, Naruto saw Domomaru and Toshimi waiting for him and Tamamo, since they were direct servants under Tamamo and Naruto and they lived with them, so it would have been strange without the two Kappa being there. She doing alright? Toshimi asked worriedly since Naruto walked out. Did something happen? They have to perform an alternate birthing method. Naruto explained as he sat down. Apparently the umbilical cord could harm our child, so this is the safer option, and they didn't want me in there. Toshimi was extremely worried and Domomaru held her close. We are here for you, Naruto. Domomaru stated bravely. Thank you, both of you. Naruto replied as he fist-bumped Domomaru. The trio sat in an awkward silence for 37 minutes as Tamamo's cries had died out. It was replaced shortly after it went silent by the cries of a baby, making Naruto shoot up, looking at the door. Every second was its own eternity as Naruto could hear his heart in his ears as anxiety bubbled in his gut. His heart got light as the doctor opened the door, a proud and happy smile on her face. Congrats, Naruto. She said as she made room for him to rush in so see his family with Domomaru and Toshimi behind him. Tamamo lay on the bed, tired and sweaty as her tails weakly swayed happily as she held a bundle of blankets in her arms. Looking up, Tamamo's tired eyes became happier as she smiled more. Look, dear, it's your papa. Tamamo whispered to the napping babe, who had light amount of light blonde hair on her head, with tiny fox ears on her head. Naruto tearfully smiled as he saw his daughter. What is her name? Naruto asked as he carefully took her from Tamamo. Yasaka. Tamamo replied with a tired smile as she closed her eyes, nearly falling asleep. Yasaka. Maiko. Uzumaki. Tamamo passed out, leaving Naruto with his daughter. Domomaru and Toshimi walked in behind him, which he could tell as he smiled as he cradled his daughter with one arm, caressing her cheek with his finger, making her smile, giving him a toothless smile. She is beautiful. Toshimi gushed. Yes, Naruto sniffled as he wiped his eyes. Yasaka is a cute baby. That night, Tamamo slept in her hospital bed, Naruto having gone home to sleep, and Yasaka was sleeping peacefully in a medical crib in the nursery, which was being watched over by a few night workers. However, despite their nocturnal habits, they passed out simultaneously, sleeping like children as Offeyes entered the nursery. The infinite dragon targeted Yasaka, floating over the crib since she was too short to look over the railing. Offeyes made no visual or audible signs of happiness, but internally she was gushing over her granddaughter. She is so adorable. Offeyes thought as she reached out, floating down, her long inky black hair hitting the crib before she carefully picked up Yasaka, who was drooling in her sleep. She has Ashura's nose. She carefully rocked Yasaka in her arms, which she had seen mothers do with their children as of late. Offeyes smiled, breaking her uncaring norm again, and kissed her grandchild's forehead, making Yasaka giggle in her sleep as she hugged Offeyes' face. I love you. Afai's thought as she pulled Yasaka off of her face. You have done nothing to earn this love, but I love you. And I will kill anyone who dare try to hurt you. Afai's paused in her thoughts as she heard someone approaching the nursery. She placed Yasaka back into her crib, and once more, kissed her grandchild's cheek before she vanished as the door started to open, the workers waking up to be scolded by their boss. 2 weeks later. Naruto, Tamamo, and Hilda watched as Akasha and Yasaka lay next to each other on a blanket on the floor. Tamamo, having been on leave for the foreseeable 6 weeks to heal from her C-section, gently sat down on the floor. She is beautiful. Tamamo stated as Akasha looked at her, her big mint green eyes staring up at her. Hilda giggled as she looked at Yasaka, whose eyes were a golden yellow looking around as her tiny ears twitched at every sound with a single tiny tail swaying under her. Yasaka is pretty cute too. Hilda stated as she poked Yasaka's belly. So, how is Vlad doing? Naruto asked as he sat next to Tamamo. Hilda sighed in slight sadness. He took back the throne, but he stated, and I quote, I will be king until my granddaughter is ready to take the throne. Hilda replied, doing her best impression of Vlad's slightly gravelly voice. That sounds like him. Tamamo replied as she giggled, picking Akasha up to hold her. Seems like she likes you, Auntie Tama, Hilda stated with a smug smirk, while Yasaka grabbed Hilda's hand and nibbled it. Seems she likes how you taste, Auntie Hilda, Tamamo retorted with the same smug tone. Naruto stayed silent, not going to get murdered over this. Well, Adrian and I did consider ourselves to be brothers, so Akasha being my niece sounds about right. Naruto thought with a smile as he took Akasha and Yasaka into his arms, careful to hold them while their mothers butted heads. Next Adrian. Naruto asked, mentally praying it wasn't true as the creature held Adrian's sword. Hey. He choked out painfully, before it growled. Alucard. Naruto raised both bow and blocked the rapier's strike. Adrian. Naruto shouted as he pushed the blade upward, tripping Alucard backwards, opportunity open. Naruto hesitated as he raised his weapons to attack. Naruto. Kurama shouted. Naruto blinked before he ducked under the rapier's blade before he felt Alucard graze his shoulder, ripping open his shoulder, taking a handful of flesh and chakra from Naruto. As Naruto cupped his bleeding shoulder, Alucard's flesh further stretched, now covering his face and torso. His face looked like Adrian's, but the flesh was pale, and his eyes nothing but crimson as his power increased further, now roughly the same level Adrian would be. Focus stupid. That thing is trying to kill you. Kurama berated in anger. Shut up. Naruto shouted in anger. It's Adrian. That thing is no longer Adrian, moron. Kurama retorted. Kill it or I'll take over and do it myself. Naruto ignored Kurama to dodge thrust. Adrian, it's me. Naruto shouted as he did nothing but evade, thanks to his Rain Sharingan. Don't you recognize me? Alucard continued to thrust his sword, trying to kill Naruto. If he drains my chakra, then he must have a limit. Naruto thought as he batted the sword out of Alucard's hand before getting in close and grabbing his throat. Using the chakra transfer technique, Naruto flooded Alucard's body with his chakra. Every ounce of chakra pumped into Alucard forced his body to recover more flesh and muscle mass until he was a near carbon copy of Adrian, his body having veins pulsating on his naked body as he clawed and scratched Naruto's arm to get him off. Come on. Naruto thought in vain as he continued to push more chakra into Alucard. Come on, reach your limit. Kurama growled. That's it. I am taking over. Kurama shouted as he forced Naruto's consciousness down and took over, raising his hand with the bow. Sorry, Adrian, but I don't plan on dying. Alucard let out a pain scream, his flesh writhing and molding before it expanded in size, making Kurama retreat at the sense of danger. Son of a bitch. Kurama thought as he watched Alucard's human form be discarded as a pile of liquefied flesh as a monstrous alien-looking form with several pieces of different creatures on it. I told you to kill him, Naruto, but you had to make it strong because now it's roughly as strong as a four-tail. Deep within, Naruto punched the water-covered floor as the eight-tailed beasts agreed with Kurama. Shut up. Naruto shouted as he gasped for air. I won't kill him. I can save him. Kurama felt Naruto try to take control back, but didn't let him as he created his avatar form. This is going to be weird. Kurama thought as he, now controlling his fox form in Naruto's body. But it isn't as weird as it could be. Alucard roared as it attacked Kurama, who jumped up, spun, and slammed his tails into him, sending him to the ground as a shockwave tore down trees. I won't let you get any closer to Kyoto. Kurama declared as he grabbed Alucard, and with his immense strength, heaved the creature over his shoulder and towards the coast. Tailed Beast Bomb. Kurama shouted as the black orb formed in his mouth, launching it before Alucard could land, hitting him, proceeding to push him into the water miles off the coast. Damn it, Naruto, because of your stupidity I am not in top shape. Kurama thought as he deactivated his avatar, landing on the ground. An intense force struck Kurama's head. Stay out of this, Naruto. Kurama stated as he gripped his head. I'll finish this so you won't shoulder the burden of killing him. No. Naruto shouted in the tailed beast psyche. It is my responsibility, so let me handle this. I have a plan. Kurama angrily frowned before he sighed. Okay, stupid, but if you start to hesitate, then I'm taking over, and the others won't let you stop me. Kurama stated as he handed over control to Naruto, whose eyes started to water. Before him, sticking blade first in the ground, was Adrian's rapier. He walked up and pulled it out of the ground. Adrian. Naruto thought, his will faltering before he bit his lip as he started to fly towards Alucard, who was recovering in the ocean. Please, give me the strength to succeed. Alucard, meanwhile, reached the coast and started to attack the citizens. However, before its body count could begin, he was pushed back into the water. Naruto hovered before Alucard with his eyes watered but not shedding tears as his resolve was set. I will save you, Alucard. Naruto thought as all 9 of his Truth Seeker orbs merged together and tightly coated the rapier's blade. Alucard roared, the shockwave cutting the water and destroying nearby coast homes, as he faced Naruto, who raised his sword before him in basic fencing stance. Naruto flew forward, evading the massive arms and tentacles with ease before he stabbed Alucard through the head. With his mastery over his chakra, the Truth Seeker orbs spread outward in massive spikes, impelling Alucard's brain and negating all the chakra and restorative abilities Alucard had. With pained roars, Alucard whipped its head around, Naruto letting go of his sword and successfully getting away as Alucard roared, acting like a wounded animal as the chakra and magic inside of its body was leaking out of its head and the holes the Truth Seeker orbs created. It started to shriek, the monstrous features breaking off and sinking into the ocean as a single tentacle sprouting from its head stretched to the beach with the sword and Truth Seeker orbs now returning to Naruto as orbs. The tentacle started to break down into particles, the tip taking a human form with the sword still in its head, its regenerative powers reactivated due to the negation of the orbs no longer applied. Naruto landed before Alucard, its frail and weak human body looking around in a frantic panic as the water swayed back and forth, hitting Alucard. Naruto. Alucard gasped out. Naruto started to tear up, biting his lip. I can still sense anger. He thought with Kurama's negative emotion sensing. Whoever did this. I can't forgive them. Alucard reached out towards Naruto. Naruto's heart clenched, which was noticed by Kurama. Naruto reached out, making Alucard grin, but it was shocked as Naruto took hold of the rapier, activating his Byakugan. I'm sorry, but I will be sure to make it painless. Naruto stated before he ripped the sword from Alucard's skull, coated it in the Truth Seeker orbs again before expertly slicing Alucard's throat, wrists, ankles, and arteries open. Alucard's blood literally emptied itself from his body, dying instantly as Naruto deactivated his Byakugan and recalled his orbs. After a few seconds, Naruto dropped his rapier and knelt. Naruto, what are you doing? Saiken asked curiously. I am going to revive him. Naruto stated in hope as he applied chakra to Alucard's body, the injuries healing with his chakra. Once it was fully healed, Naruto closed his, focusing on the technique he knew he wanted to perform, his Rain Sharingan. Ram. Naruto thought as he made the Ram sign. Snake. Naruto continued as he made the snake sign. Naruto opened his eyes. Gadou, Rain Tensei no Jutsu. Naruto declared, remembering the face that this jutsu revived Fukusaku and all the Leaf Shinobi Pain had killed during his assault on the Leaf. Did I not do it right? Naruto thought in a panic as he charged more chakra. Ram sign, snake sign. Gadou, Rain Tensei no Jutsu. Naruto shouted, praying, hoping, and wishing it would revive Adrian. Nothing. More. Naruto thought as his tears streaked down his cheeks as he proceeded to do the Ram and snake signs a third time. Gadou, Rain Tensei no Jutsu. Naruto shouted with a choked ending. Naruto. Don't. Naruto shouted as he trembled. I can. You can't revive him. Naruto turned and saw a small girl he didn't know. Off eyes stared at Naruto, in her hands the sheath to his sword as she wore a gray kimono with her hair up. Shut up, you don't know what you are talking about. Naruto stated as he wiped his nose and eyes, turning back to Adrian's body. I just need to add more chakra. He is dead, and you are unable to revive him. Off eyes said again as she walked next to him, picking up the sword, dusting it off before she sheathed it. Not even with Rein rebirth, you can't bring him back. Naruto stayed silent as he trembled. Off eyes sighed. I don't know how to help in this situation. Off eyes thought as she had a blank look on her face. She was alone since the beginning. Born from the nothingness of the dimensional gap, Off eyes had little interaction with people due to her preference in not to. Until she met Hagoromo, fell in love, had her children, and then watched her family tear itself apart because of Black Zetsu. She continued to watch, seeing the reincarnations of Ashura and Indra fight, and now, she was faced with Naruto, Ashura's reincarnation, and his guilt of failure. If it is any consolation, Off eyes stated as she placed the rapier next to Naruto, propping it across his lap. The ones who did this was Carmilla of Vlad Tepes' court. Naruto, having heard this, ignored Off eyes as he started to cry, his wail of pain being ignored in turn as he punched the sand, powering down due to lack of focus. Upon seeing her son losing his shit, Off eyes walked away, her heart weighing heavy with each step. I'm sorry, Ashura. Off eyes thought as she vanished from this plane of existence, returning to the dimensional gap. Stay strong, I know you can do it. Before Off eyes, was her mortal enemy, Great Red, ready for a rematch. Hours later, Wallachia. Lord Tepes, Naruto Uzumaki had arrived. A crying guard announced as the door to the gate opened, revealing Naruto carrying Adrian's body, sword at his hip. Hilda, who was currently 5 months pregnant, Vlad, and Lisa gasped as they watched Naruto approach them. Vlad and Lisa took notice of the thick tear stains on his face, the wet part of his chin wet as Naruto walked up to them. I am sorry. Naruto replied in a cracked tone with heavy amounts of guilt. I tried to stop him, but I had to do what was necessary. Hilda broke out crying as Naruto stopped before them and placed her husband before them carefully. What happened? Vlad asked as he held his wife, who was shaken to the core, nearly falling to the ground. Carmilla. Naruto stated as he looked the vampire in the eyes, which were wide at the accusation. She did this. She had Adrian turned into a monster. She turned him onto Kyoto, and I. Naruto grit his teeth as his guilt boiled over, falling to his knees and slamming his head against the ground. I had to kill him when I couldn't save him. He choked out as he started to cry again. Please, forgive me. Hilda hugged Adrian's corpse, crying as she held him, touching her forehead to his. Lisa, with Vlad's help, knelt next to Naruto, pulling Naruto up from his bow and into a tight, emotional hug as she started to cry. Thank you. Lisa choked out. You brought him home. I can't thank you enough, Naruto. Naruto hugged her back, unable to speak as he could barely form words. You said Carmilla did this? Vlad asked in calm anger. Naruto nodded. Vlad flexed his fingers, which made Naruto swallow the lump in his throat as Vlad was visibly angry. However, he took a deep breath and calmed down. What is your proof? Vlad asked, his voice showing restraint. I was informed by a strange girl. Naruto admitted. Vlad raised an eyebrow. He can't be lying. Vlad thought as he saw how Naruto acted and could feel his sincerity. I will deal with them, you go home, Naruto. Vlad said in concern. You need to rest. Naruto didn't move at all as Lisa stood back up. You aren't angry with me? Naruto asked shakily. Hilda hiccuped, wiping her nose. Why would I? Hilda asked. Why you saved him, brought him home, and now, he. Hilda couldn't finish her sentence as she continued to break down. Naruto, go home. Vlad ordered as Lisa comforted Hilda. We will deal with Carmilla. Naruto stood up and pulled the sword from his hip, offering it to Vlad. This is Adrian's. Naruto reminded as he held it out. Vlad was in deep thought for a few seconds before pushing the sword away. You should keep it. Vlad said with a sad smile. I don't like using magical weapons anyway. Naruto wanted to argue, but the look in Vlad's eyes and the tone of his voice left no room for arguments. Yes sir. Naruto muttered, bowed, and then walked out. The guilt he felt not leaving his Hilda's cries echoed through the air. Hour later, Carmilla walked through her castle, smirking as she felt accomplished. Lady Carmilla. A random servant said nervously as they approached her. There is someone at the gate. Send them away. We tried, but he refused, demanding an audience with you. The servant responded. Carmilla turned, glaring angrily. You disobeying me? She questioned, raising her hand to kill the servant before she felt her hand get grabbed and her wrist broken. Why? Carmilla hissed in pain before she lashed out to kill who was grabbing her, only to gasp when she realized it was Vlad. Carmilla. He stated in a dark tone as his sclera became red with blood. You and your ilk shall pay dearly for the atrocity you have wrought upon my friends and family. What? Carmilla thought in fear as she was dragged down the hall as many more vampires appeared, all soldiers who fearfully pressed themselves to the wall to avoid the angry vampire king. Get the other vampires she is in league with and anyone who could use Forge Master magic, and bring them before me in the courtyard. Vlad ordered the soldiers, who shuffled out to get the others. Striga, Morina, Lenore, and Hector were gathered before Vlad and Carmilla. Instantly, all present fell under Vlad's dominance. Their skin crawled as fear of their king pumped through their bodies. Did you, or did you not, have my son, Adrian, forged by this human Forge Master? Vlad asked. Yes. Lenore responded. What was your plan with him? We were going to kill the human known as Naruto Uzumaki and then kill you, take your throne, and rule Wallachia. Morina admitted. Vlad's glare intensified. And why did you decide this was a good idea? Vlad asked his final question. Because you decided to keep a pet, breed with it, and then give that abomination control over what should have been mine. Carmilla admitted. Vlad threw her into her council, Hector being moved behind him as Vlad charged up his strongest magical attack. Demonic. Vlad stated as the four women were set ablaze by holy flames as the runic seal appeared beneath them. Megiddo. Hector watched his masters get incinerated alive as Vlad stood in silence. Why? Carmilla hissed in pain with her sisters, before she glared angrily at Vlad, who was unfazed. A curse upon you, Dracula, a curse upon your blood to be felled by man. Killing us won't bring your precious son back, Dracula. Vlad wasn't amused, and simply intensified his flames, instantly charring the souls of the vampire women, until not even ashes remained of them. There was a very uncomfortable silence as Hector collapsed to the ground. How do I feel right now? He thought as he looked at the scorched ground. Do I feel better after killing them? He, Vlad, who had done nothing to stop Carmilla, should have seen the signs that stated betrayal with these doubts. Vlad didn't feel any of his anger vanish, it actually increased as he desired to have tortured them more. Is this how you felt, Iroh? Vlad asked as he remembered the day Iroh killed the humans who killed his wife, Marco. You truly were the strongest of the two of us. Vlad turned to Hector, with his anger still present. And you? Vlad asked coldly. Hector immediately bowed. I will take any punishment you give. He stated in fear. I willingly turned your son, so I won't beg forgiveness. Vlad raised his hand to crush Hector's skull, but stopped. What is your name, boy? Vlad asked as he put his hand down. Hector. From today forward, you shall serve my son's wife. Vlad stated as he gripped his hands. And you shall do this until the day you die. Hector counted his blessings. Yes, sir. Meanwhile, Kyoto. Naruto drunkenly chugged a gourd of sake as fast as he could. Tamamo watched him sit in the garden since he got home. He had stripped from his kimono to his sleeping yukata, leaving his clothes and sword on the ground and had not said a single word, audible sounds being hiccuping and crying. I think you had enough, Naru. Tamamo said in concern as she touched the gourd. Naruto pulled it away from her. He went to talk, but ended up vomiting on the grass. Tamamo rubbed his back as he upchucked all the things in his stomach, her heart breaking as she watched Naruto destroy himself. Domaru and Toshimi waited on the deck of the house, with water and a fresh change of clothing for Naruto. After several minutes, Naruto finished puking and clung to his wife, face in her pregnant belly. I. He hiccuped as he gripped her clothing. Tama. I am here, dear. Tamamo whispered soothingly, one of her tails taking the sake and putting it elsewhere as she held him. I am here. Naruto moved a bit, face planting into her breasts, holding her tightly. I killed him. He stated, tears and vomit coating her elegant kimono. I am horrible, die. Tamamo rubbed his back and head. No, you need to live. She replied calmly, being strong for them both since she wanted to break down as well. You can live for him, Naru. Please, let's get you cleaned up and go to bed. Naruto stayed silent as he nodded into her swollen breasts. Alright, Naru, let's get up. Tamamo stated, which was when Domamaru and Toshimi moved over and helped them up. Domamaru took Naruto to the bath, and cleaned him up while Toshimi helped Tamamo get ready for bed. Once dry, Domamaru dressed Naruto, which wasn't easy for the limp noodle drunk, and got him to Tamamo outside their room. Tamamo took her husband from Domamaru, and once the door was shut, she scooted him to their futon and carefully helped him get in. She took a breath. Oh. Tamamo gasped as she cupped her belly. The baby kicked her. I know, dear. She thought sadly as she rubbed her belly. Daddy is sad, but hopefully, we can make him happy. With a soft, yet very happy smile, Tamamo got into bed, Naruto loudly snoring as he cuddling into her, face in her boobs, making her giggle while she wrapped her tails around him. Naruto winced in pain as he pulled his hand back, grabbing it as an elder yokai stood next to him with a bamboo stick. You did it wrong, try again. He stated as he watched Naruto with a critical eye. Yes, sir. Naruto replied politely as he picked up the brush he dropped again. Kurama sighed in irritation as Naruto started to draw a seal. Naruto had been taking lessons in seals for 2 weeks now, and Kurama was getting tired of the mundanity of it all. You know you could skip all of this if you used the Rain Sharingan, right? Kurama stated. Yeah, you are right. Naruto mentally replied as he continued, only to mess up as his hand was struck once more. But I would get a bad taste in my mouth if I cheated like that. I want to earn this. Kurama grumbled as he lay down. The other tailed beasts were off in their own private levels of the tailed beast psyche. Because spending time with each other for all eternity was its own brand of hell when you lived with your siblings. Naruto focused on his lessons, and after another hour, his teacher let him go. Well, at least I am getting better. He thought in a positive way as he massaged his hand. I hope Yasaka and Tamamo are doing fine. He smiled fondly as he thought of his wife and daughter. The two greatest treasures in his life, always making him smile. Once home after 10 minutes of walking, Naruto was greeted by one of the servants. Lord Naruto, we have finally translated the letters from the 4 pantheons. They said as they handed them to Naruto. Thank you, I'll go talk to the Empress right away. Naruto replied politely before he looked for his wife. Naruto greeted Domamaru and Toshimi in the kitchen as he passed them. Where is Tamamo? He asked the 2 kappa. She is in Yasaka's room, breastfeeding. Toshimi replied as she and Domamaru prepared dinner. Naruto instantly straightened up as he left to find his wife. Naruto thought as he thought of Tamamo breastfeeding. Her breasts have gotten bigger since she got pregnant. Pervert. Madatabi purred, not in disgust but a playful tone that showed she wasn't serious. Naruto smirked as he knocked on the door leading to Yasaka's room. Come in. Tamamo called from within. Naruto opened the door and saw Tamamo sitting in a chair nursing Yasaka, kimono open to allow her right breast to be uncovered for Yasaka. In the 4 weeks since her birth, Yasaka's light blonde hair had come in and was in tiny twin pigtails with small string. She happily sucked the milk from her mother's exposed breast, her tiny tail wagging. Hey, sweetie, how were your seal lessons? Are those the letters from the pantheons? Tamamo asked as she looked up at Naruto, who was staring enviously at his daughter, which didn't escape his wife's eye. What, you jealous of your daughter? Naruto blushed and stepped back, chuckling nervously as he put the letters on the nearby table. Tamamo sighed as she shifted a bit to pull her left sleeve down to expose her left breast. Come here, you baby. Tamamo giggled. Naruto seemingly teleported to his wife's side and gently cupped her milk-filled breast, making Tamamo quiet a moan. Tamamo gasped slightly as Naruto licked her nipple before he sucked it into his mouth. Breast milk splashed against Naruto's tongue, making him hum at the taste. As this was happening, Yasaka glanced over at her father and scowled. Her tail flipped up and thwacked him, getting Naruto's attention. Tamamo giggled. Seems she doesn't like sharing. Tamamo stated as Yasaka cutely glared at Naruto. Well, she has one mouth and you have two tits, so she can learn to share. Naruto stated with a cheeky tone and smile. Tamamo laughed and pulled him back into her breast with her tail, while she looked at Yasaka. He is right, you need to share, sweetie. Tamamo stated. Yasaka only pouted. Tamamo giggled before slapping her hand to over her mouth, ears drooping as she violently coughed into her hand. Tamamo. Naruto said in concern as he summoned a clone to take Yasaka away while he helped Tamamo get some water. I'm fine. Tamamo stated after she sipped some water. Just swallowed some air wrong. Naruto didn't believe her, but let it go as his clone did its best to ease a tearing up Yasaka as he burped her. Anyway, Naruto. Tamamo said as she sat up, covering her breasts, looking at the table with the letters. Which of the four pantheons are you picking to go to first? Naruto picked them up and looked at them. I think I'll go to. Naruto started to say. 3 days later, afternoon, Greece. Naruto stood in the Aegean Sea, Mount Olympus off in the distance. Well, this is going to be fun. Naruto thought as he looked up at the large mountain, after running across the ocean and land by foot. Currently, he was walking across the water, avoiding much of the people because he was on a mission as an ambassador of Kyoto. Is that the island of Cyclopses? Naruto thought as he neared an island, feeling several inhuman life signatures on the island. And there are humans there too. Let's go check it out. Isabu stated, interested in getting to see the Cyclopses. Fine. Naruto thought as he took off towards the island. On the island, 20 minutes later. As you can see, my name is nobody. Odysseus told a near-drunk Cyclops called Polyphemus. Well, nobody, you are being very generous, despite the fact I am going to eat you. Polyphemus stated drunkenly as he felt drowsy. Yeah, that's it. Odysseus thought as he watched the Cyclops fall asleep. Working quickly, Odysseus and his surviving men stuck a large sharpened stake into the burning fire, which lit the cave they resided in. Come on. Odysseus thought as he urgently wanted the stake to light. Suddenly, the boulder keeping Odysseus and his men inside Polyphemus's cave was pulled away. Oh, what is going on? Naruto said as he walked in, seeing the Greek warriors stare at him in confusion. Hello. Without hesitating, Odysseus and his men grabbed Polyphemus's sheep and Naruto, running to their boat with him and quickly set sail. Oh, thank the gods, they must have sent you to find us. Odysseus's men thanked Naruto as the wind picked up, their boats catching the wind. What are they saying? Naruto thought as he heard them speaking fluent Greek. Try using your Rhine Sharingan, you could learn their language. Komei chimed in. Naruto thought as he used a transformation to hide his third eye and opened said eye. I, Odysseus, captain of this ship, welcome you onto our vessel. Odysseus greeted. I thank you for saving our lives from the Cyclops. Naruto bowed. Greetings, Odysseus, I am a foreigner from the Far East. Naruto said in partially broken Greek, but it was understandable. My name is Naruto. Odysseus extended his arm. Naruto took his arm, and they shook arms. Please, travel with us, to our home of Ithaca. Odysseus stated as he and Naruto walked amongst the Greek men rowing the boat. I will gladly accept, Odysseus. Naruto said with a bright smile. Meanwhile, Tamamo sat with the doctor writing something down. It's just a simple cold, Empress. The doctor said in confidence. You should heal up in a few days. Tamamo nodded. I am worried. She thought as she sat up to leave. I have been sick before, but this is taking too long. She had been feeling feverish and could feel her heart increase at random moments. Here, this medication will help ease the symptoms. The doctor said as she gave Tamamo some ground herbs. Please, take it easy, Empress, we all need you, especially your daughter and your husband. Tamamo thought of Naruto and Yasaka, ears drooping and hands clenching. Yes, thank you doctor. Tamamo thought as she bowed before leaving. She walked through Kyoto, heading for the compound she called her home. I will overcome this. Tamamo thought courageously as she approached her home. I will not give up until I am better. 4 days later, Ithaca, Greece. Naruto laughed as he drank with Odysseus. Having docked the day before, Naruto had spent hours with Odysseus, learning the ways of Greek culture and in turn, taught Odysseus about Japan and his culture. Of course, he had let Odysseus reunite with his young son and wife. But now, it was a massive banquet for Naruto saving them was being held. Thank you again, for this, Odysseus, but tomorrow, I must be going. Naruto stated as he gulped down the watered-down wine. Why is that? Odysseus asked, slightly drunk as he swayed in his seat. I got to meet the gods tomorrow. Naruto stated as he started to feel the effects of the alcohol. Fine. Odysseus stated as he didn't want Naruto to leave, having learned a lot of the lands outside of Greece from him. They partied for several more hours before it was dark with the stars as the only lights. Naruto, having recovered from his hangover quickly, packed his bag with some food before he left Odysseus's house, leaving a note behind for the Greek to find in the morning. I had fun. Naruto thought as he started to jog away from the house. But now, it's time for business. As the night rolled on, Naruto made it to the shore at a nearby cliff, and with no fear, jumped off it towards the water as he saw the coast of Greece several miles away. He landed into the water safely, thanks to his chakra cloak appearing last second to break his fall and charge his speed as he took off across the water, powering down to not be seen or sensed as easily. Once back on dry land, Naruto asked for directions towards Mount Olympus by a humble family, giving them some money for their trouble before walking off again. As our merry protagonist walked across the untamed wilds of Greece, Polyphemus was waking up and realizing his sheep had been stolen. Nobody, you son of a bitch. Polyphemus shouted as he barged out of his cave and looked all over the island for his sheep and Odysseus, not knowing the man had arrived home safely. Polyphemus ran to the coast and took a deep breath. Dad! He shouted. The waves rippled and took the shape of a face. Poseidon, god of the seas, appeared, while his water avatar took shape before his son. Yes, my dear Polyphemus. Poseidon spoke. What is it? Dad, a few days ago, a human named Nobody came here, and he got me drunk and then while I was sleeping, somehow got out of my blocked-off cave and took my sheep. Polyphemus stated in quick succession. Please, help me get vengeance on them. Poseidon was instantly on board with fucking with humans. Don't worry, my son. Poseidon stated as he reached out to his massive son's hand. I will take care of this, rest assured. Polyphemus smiled in relief. Thank you, Dad. He thanked as his father's water avatar deformed and returned to being regular water. Empty Olympus. Poseidon, the real one, walked to the fates. He was a tall man, muscled to pure athletic peak, and had a tan complexion. He wore a teal blue armor with a tunic draped over one shoulder and decorated with various sea life. He had dark hair with a full beard. In his hand was his trusty trident. He approached the loom chamber of the fates, which was heavily guarded, but as an Olympian god, he was able to safely pass through with no interruptions. He arrived before the fates. Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos sat with their looms with the strings of fate being woven as Poseidon neared them. They wore revealing cloaks, not hiding their figures from anyone, their hair tied up to not get caught in the thread. Fates, it is I, Poseidon. The sea god stated as he entered their loom chamber. We knew, for it was as we desired. Clotho stated as she worked on the present, as she represented the present. And we know what you seek, god of the sea. Lachesis stated as she worked on the future, as she represented the future. And so, it shall be. Atropos finished, as she refined the past, as she represented the past. You want to know of the human, Odysseus, and how he escaped your son? Lachesis asked as she wove the future. It was not by our hands he escaped, but by the hands of someone who is not tied to our looms. Then who was it? Poseidon asked respectfully, staying on the good side of the fates. The three fates laughed as they paused in their work. It is a man you already know of. Clotho answered, carefully moving her fingers over the delicate thread. For he is a being of tremendous power, and he is on his way to Mount Olympus as we speak. Poseidon's eyes nearly bugged from his eyes as he heard this. I must return and inform my brothers and sisters of this. Poseidon thought as he made haste, hearing the sisters of fate cackling behind him as he returned to Olympus. Brother! Poseidon shouted at Zeus as he arrived in the great hall. We have an invader heading our way. Several hours later. Wow, it's fucking huge. Naruto stated in awe at the base of Mount Olympus, staring up towards the sky. It was one hell of a walk, but damn was it worth it. Yeah, totally worth the fucking time it took to get us here, when we could have teleported. Kurama stated angrily. Seriously, you could have teleported there, got your stupid talk done, and then returned back to Tamamo and Yasaka. Oh, is that worry I hear in your voice? Naruto thought smugly. Kurama gasped before growling. Are you accusing me of something, Naruto? Kurama yelled in embarrassment. Naruto smirked as he started to walk up the mountain. Well, he is right, it was a lot of time. Naruto thought, realizing an entire week had passed since he left Kyoto to get to Olympus. Only for him to be surrounded by Olympian soldiers, armed with spears and shields, circling around him as Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades arrived before him. Zeus was a man who looked like he was in his mid-40s, wearing lightning-themed arm guards, a single pauldron on his left shoulder, wore a similar tunic to Poseidon, only with gold and lightning bolts on it. He had a bushy white beard and white hair. H had a smooth muscled body like Poseidon. Hades, meanwhile, had very pale purple skin and had gray teal hair. He wore black armor and tunic, like Poseidon, but was decorated in skulls, the single pauldron with 3 dog heads, in homage to his pet dog, Cerberus. At his sides were 2 claw-like hooks with chains attached. Wow, and I thought I would have to scale the mountain to meet you. Naruto replied nervously as he held his hands up. What the hell is he? Hades asked Poseidon. All 3 could sense great power from Naruto, but they could not see what Naruto was, be it human or god. Who are you, intruder? Zeus asked, having heard his brother's question, before he drew a large double-edged sword that had golden people holding the blade with an image of his face acting as the guard. Depending on the answer, we might have to you to protect our homes. Naruto swallowed the heavy lump in his throat. Shit, they think I am attacking them. He thought with a cold sweat. I am Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto stated nervously. I am the ambassador from Kyoto. You sent a letter to us roughly a year ago after the faction war ended. Zeus blinked. Oh shit, there has been a misunderstanding. Zeus stated as he realized who Naruto was. Okay, men, lower your weapons, he means no harm. The soldiers lowered their spears before vanishing, since they were artificial creations thanks to Hephaestus. Brother, why do you have our men? Hades started to ask before Zeus spun on his heel and punched Poseidon in the jaw hard enough to make his feet leave the ground and he landed head first onto the ground. Why did you? Poseidon, you idiot. Zeus shouted as he raised his fist to hit his older brother again. We almost killed the man who stopped the faction war. Poseidon and Hades blinked several times, looking at Naruto who stayed silent and dumbly looking from Zeus to Poseidon to Hades and back to Zeus, rinse, and repeat. Their eyes widened as they remembered the announcement Zeus made after the faction war ended. Oh, shit, I am sorry. Poseidon shouted as he positioned himself onto his knees and bowed. It's fine, nothing. Naruto started to say before Poseidon got up suddenly. I almost got you, a world-renowned hero killed, and you say it's fine. Poseidon shouted in tears. What the hell is going on? Naruto thought as the sea god continued to panic. Meanwhile, underworld. Lucifer stared outside his window. The once powerful man was now reduced to a panicked mess. He was constantly looking behind his back, afraid of the shadows that loomed there. He had killed many servants who had accidentally appeared behind him, trying to ask him something before he blasted them into atoms, always breathing hard like a man suffering from shell shock. The only being able to survive such a thing was his lovely wife, Lilith. However, today was not a normal day, as outside his mighty castle was an army. An army of devils revolting against his rule. So, he thought as he turned and donned his armor. It's time for civil war. Empty Olympus, Greece. Wow. Naruto said in awe as he walked alongside Poseidon, Zeus, and Hades on the grounds of the realm of the gods. It's amazing here. Of course, it is. Zeus stated proudly, chest puffed out slightly with a smug smirk. It is a heaven on earth, so to speak. I don't know. Naruto thought as he saw Dionysus completely plastered with several empty jars of wine. I was raised in the East, so my idea of an afterlife is much different. Hades laughed. That is true, every pantheon's afterlife is different. Hades said as he looked at Naruto. It makes it easier to handle the dead, instead of shoving all people to the biblical heaven or hell, we separated them by their beliefs, and it has worked very well to last several millennia. Interesting. Naruto replied to Hades. It truly is. Poseidon stated as he wrapped his arm around his older brother. But this is coming from the dude who kidnapped his wife. Hades growled at Poseidon's jab. At least Hades doesn't cheat on his wife. The four men turned and saw Zeus's wife, Hera. Hera was a beautiful woman. She was very tall, dwarfing Naruto like her fellow gods on Olympus. She wore a royal garb, befitting her status as Queen of Olympus. She had cyan-colored eyes and light lavender hair that hung down to her ankles in a bra with a gold tiara holding her bangs up. Hera, we have been over this, Zeus said in a slight panic as he approached his wife. Hera quirked an accusing eyebrow at her husband, clearly not happy. So, who the hell is this brat? Hera asked as she looked at Naruto, looking him over before turning to Zeus. Another bastard child of yours. What? No, of course not, he's... Oh, come on dad, don't lie to mom like that. Naruto interrupted, doing his best to not smirk or laugh as he stepped forward between them. Nice to meet you. Hera was livid as she released some of her magic, shaking the Mount Olympus as she pushed Naruto aside and closed in on her husband. Zeus. She growled as her hair rippled from the force of her releasing her magic. Zeus didn't back down as he started to release his own magic, lightning cracking as their magic clashed. This boy is not a child of mine, nor is he descended of us, Zeus stated as he yanked Naruto forward. He doesn't even have magic, as he comes from the east. Hera glanced at Naruto, who was nervously chuckling. He doesn't have magic, actually, I can't even tell what he is. Hera thought as she recalled her magic as she calmed down, which allowed Zeus to step back and recall his own. Idiot. Poseidon thought as he shook his head as Hades sighed. Why did he think it was a good idea to joke like that around Hera? Hades thought in slight disappointment. I am Hera, Queen of Olympus. Hera introduced as she recollected herself. I bid you welcome into our home. I am Naruto Uzumaki, Ambassador of Kyoto, Japan. I am honored to meet you, Naruto stated as he took Hera's hand and kissed it. Hera was blown away from the respect Naruto showed her, despite the display she had just shown him. Ambassador from Japan. Hera replied. Ah, you are the human who stopped the faction war some time ago. Yes, that was me, Naruto stated. I am sorry for my rude joke earlier. No, it is fine, Hera said as she glanced menacingly at Zeus. I shouldn't have made assumptions. Hera turned around. Follow me, I shall lead you to the meeting hall, Hera said as she turned to Hades. Brother, please get Hermes to gather the other Olympians. Yes, sister, Hades said with respect and walked off to get Hermes to gather the others while Poseidon and Zeus followed Naruto and Hera. How do you feel about our home, Uzumaki? Hera asked as Naruto walked beside her, looking around in awe at the lush beauty of the Goldie Mountain. It's amazing, Naruto replied, unable to say anything else. All the separate places for each of you, all in one place. Hades isn't a part of Mount Olympus, Poseidon added. Which was an issue when our brother wants to come here. Thankfully, Hephaestus was able to create the Hyperion Gate to allow brother to go to and from Olympus. Will he be a part of the meeting? Naruto asked as his group arrived at the meeting hall, which had an elaborate gold table in the form of a U with multiple seats. Instead of getting a verbal answer, Hades appeared with Hermes, Hestia, Dionysus, Hephaestus, Demeter, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, and Aphrodite. All of them were taller than any normal human, easily 6 inches or a full foot. Hermes was a young-looking man with short curly hair. He wore a helmet that had tiny wings on them, similar to his sandals which allowed him to fly. In his hand he held his caduceus. Hestia wore white and pale blue robes with a lace head veil, keeping her black hair tidy. Dionysus, a well-built man, wore simple cloth around his waist with a thick grapevine keeping it up. In his hands was a cask of wine. Hephaestus was a large man, though unlike his fellow gods, he was visually grotesque and he had a small leg, due to it being lame. He wore a simple blacksmith garb with some tools at his side and a heavy smell of metal coating his hands. Demeter, like Hera, was a gorgeous adult woman, wearing green robes with gold leaves detailing the hems. Her dark green hair was long and wavy, like grass. Athena wore armor and carried her Medusa mirror shield with her. She had silver white hair, due to being the daughter of Zeus, and she had an elegance and aura of wisdom around her due to being the goddess of wisdom and battle tactics. Ares, like Athena, wore altered armor to expose his arms, which were large and muscled, unlike most of the other men who were on the skinnier side but still muscled. Apollo was a standard pretty boy, his lyre at his side with a leaf gold crown on his head as he wore a simple sash connected to the waist cloth and sandals. Artemis wore a simple hunter garb with her trusty bow and quiver of arrows at her side. Her hair was in a small bob, keeping it out of her face. Beside her was her treasured hind deer. Aphrodite, as the goddess of love, was the most beautiful of the female Olympians. She had the most desirable figure, large breasts, wide hips, and slim waist. Her long brown hair let down. She wore the most provocative clothing of the Olympians. The upper clothing left her back bare, nearly leaving her breasts uncovered due to see-through cloth. And her skirt had 2 layers, thick fabric covering her crotch and butt but clear fabric to reveal her long legs. "Father," Athena said as she and the Olympians sat down. "Why did you call us here? Is there another battle?" Ares asked with an aggressive grin. "Of course not, my son," Zeus said as he looked at his battle-obsessed child. "We called you here due to one thing." He turned his attention to Naruto, who stepped up. "We have an ambassador for Japan, but you know him as the man who stopped the faction war, Naruto Uzumaki," Zeus stated with a proud tone. There were gasps and whispers amongst the remaining Olympians, as Hera, Poseidon, Hades, and Zeus watched with Naruto taking a seat at the end of the table with Athena and Ares. "I am happy to be here, thank you for having me," Naruto said politely as he sat down. "Why are you here?" Apollo asked politely as he looked Naruto up and down, liking what he saw. "Did you come here looking for a wife?" Aphrodite asked seductively, making Hephaestus, her husband, sigh slightly at her antics. "Because I could make some time for you, dear," Naruto chuckled nervously. "Sorry, but I am married and I have a child," Naruto stated as he showed his wedding ring. "Hasn't stopped men before?" Aphrodite said with a seductive wink. "Let's get to the point," Artemis stated loudly, not liking the disgraceful flirting her niece was doing. "Why are you here, Uzumaki?" "I am here to ask for an alliance with my home," Naruto said as he propped his arms on the table and held his hands. "As you know, Japan suffered a lot during the faction war, as did you and many others. I propose we make an alliance to help each other, open trade routes, and fight together should any of the factions start another war to prevent unnecessary death." "But war is going to have death," Ares stated as he stood up. "Shut up, Ares," Hades stated to his nephew. "You may be the god of war, but you only represent the brutality, violence, suffering, and all the negative parts of battle." Ares growled at his uncle but bit his tongue. "I am not saying we can truly prevent anything like that, Ares," Naruto continued. "I just want to minimize the loss we could suffer. I know with war you have to accept the ugliness of it to truly fear and understand it. I meant no disrespect to you, God War." Ares was dumbfounded and lost for words. He is the one who stopped the faction war, yet he is acting like a weakling. Ares mentally questioned. "I took no offense, just stated something obvious," Ares replied in a politer tone. Naruto smiled. "On that note, can we agree that an alliance between Olympus and Japan is possible?" Naruto asked all the Olympians. "Yes, Zeus is head god, but it is better to get the approval of all of them." Naruto waited patiently as they whispered amongst themselves. "I say we hold a vote," Zeus stated to them. "That way, we can debate as a group if there are any issues." The Olympians nodded. "All for the alliance, raise your hand," Zeus stated. Surprisingly, all of them raised their hands. "Thank you for this alliance," Naruto said with a bow. "It is anonymous," Zeus stated as he stood up. "The alliance between the Olympians and Japan is official." The next several hours were spent finalizing the rules for the alliance. "Now, we have settled the trade agreement, the agreement to support one another if one is under attack, amongst other things. Is there anything else we could add?" Zeus asked as he was tired. Only he, Naruto, Demeter, Artemis, Hera, Poseidon, Hades, Aphrodite, and Athena remained in the meeting hall, since the rest decided to leave to return to their own thing. No one said anything, since all the stipulations they wanted had been added or adjusted to be equal for Kyoto and Greece. "No one has anything to add, so I think this is final," Zeus said as he signed the alliance paperwork. Naruto followed up and signed it as well before shaking hands with Zeus. "Please, allow me to present you with a gift," Naruto stated as he clapped his hands together, opening his Sharingan as he channeled chakra into them. "I hope this works. Creation of all things." With his perfect chakra control, some imagination, and a lot of concentration, Naruto separated his hands, a glowing chakra orb forming between them. After several seconds, the glowing orb's light increased significantly enough to make the Olympians close their eyes before it died down. In Naruto's hands was a bow that had no string, but it was prepped as if it was stringed. Oh, shit. It actually worked. Naruto thought in surprise, keeping a cool face. What are these? Hera asked as she saw the mirror and the bow. This is for anyone who wants it. Naruto said as he took the bow. As he grabbed it, a string made from his chakra appeared, making it look more complete. You see, this stabilizes the power of the user, focuses it, and then you can fire it. Like so. Naruto stated as he pulled back the string, a chakra arrow appearing before he released the arrow into the sky. So, I'll take it. Artemis said as she shot up, a big smile on her face as she took the bow. This will be an amazing addition to my arsenal. Naruto smiled as he was happy Artemis liked the bow. Well, then I guess I'll be going home then. Naruto said as he took a copy of the alliance paper. Would you like help going home? Poseidon asked, thinking Naruto was going to travel back to Japan by boat. I got a quicker way. Naruto said as he activated a warp portal. Until we meet again, mighty Olympians. He stepped through it before closing it. He was a nice guy. Aphrodite pouted, crossing her arms. Next time, I'll get him. Demeter punched Aphrodite. Respect the married man. Demeter stated as every one of the other gods went home. Kyoto, Japan. Naruto smiled brightly as he picked up Yasaka, who was in a crib reaching out for him. Hey, little one. Naruto said happily as he kissed her forehead. Have you been behaving? No, she hasn't. Naruto turned and saw Tamamo, smiling as she pulled him into a kiss. How was the meeting? Tamamo asked as she pulled back, taking Yasaka from Naruto. It went better than I had thought. Naruto replied as he showed her the paper. Slowly reading it, Tamamo sighed. How long did you take to write this up? Tamamo asked as she sat down. A few hours, why? Naruto asked before he started to cower. Then what took you so long to come back? She asked as she towered over him with Yasaka cutely blinking and looking between her parents. Okay, I can explain that. Naruto said as he proceeded to tell them about his journey with Odysseus. After an hour, Tamamo hummed as she rocked Yasaka to sleep as Naruto sat on his knees on the floor. I see, no wonder you took so long. Tamamo said with a sigh of relief. I thought you would have fallen for the wiles of Aphrodite. Trust me, she tried. Naruto replied in a deadpan tone. I bet. Tamamo coughed into her hand. Naruto shot up and rubbed her back. I'm fine. She coughed as it slowly lessened. Tamamo, what is going on? Naruto asked as he took Yasaka from Tamamo to let her drink some water. You shouldn't still have a cold. Tamamo's ears drooped as she looked at the ground. I went to the doctors after you left, and they said it was just a cold. I was given medicine, so hopefully, it goes away soon. Tamamo told him, not wanting to hide it from her husband. Naruto put Yasaka back into her crib against her wishes, not wanting to be in her bed but with her parents. Tamamo, if you want, I'll put my ambassador duties on hold and stay here with you and Yasaka. Naruto said with worry as he took Tamamo's hands. No, it's just a cold, there is no reason for you to abandon your... Tamamo started before she started coughing again, her body aching a bit as Naruto helped her stand. You need to get these alliances made, sooner rather than later to be safe. Naruto heard those words and made up his mind. He scooped his wife into his arms, leaving a clone with Yasaka, and went to his shared room with his wife. Naruto? Tamamo asked as she was placed in their futon, their blanket being pulled over her. I won't be leaving your side until you are better. Naruto stated as he stood up. And the other alliances can wait, we have one done, so we should build it up first. So, rest and I'll help take care of leadership. Tamamo smiled at Naruto. Okay, you stubborn jackass. She sighed as she felt very warm and sleepy under the covers. Naruto sighed. 1356, Kyoto. Tag, now you are the ONI. Yasaka shouted playfully as she tackled Akasha. No fair. Akasha shouted with a pout. Akasha, age 4, pushed Yasaka, age 4, off of her. Akasha had her long pink hair tied into a ponytail with a black ribbon with her bangs framing her face. She wore a short skirt and a shirt, wearing leather shoes on her feet. Yasaka, meanwhile, wore a red and white maiko kimono, like her mother, and had her light blonde hair tied in bun. Her tail swaying happily as she ran away from Akasha. Naruto, age 27, smiled as he, Tamamo, age 26, and Hilda watched their children play. You know, I said it last year, but Naruto, you don't seem to be aging anymore. Hilda pointed out as she looked at Naruto. It was true, Naruto still looked like he was 21, like Tamamo and Hilda. You think so? Naruto said as he looked over himself. I mean, from my original dimension, my mother's clan had such strong vitality, that they stayed young longer than normal, so maybe it is still the same in this dimension. Maybe. Tamamo said as she leaned into her husband, holding his arm as she enjoyed the fresh spring air. I am not complaining, Naru. Naruto smiled as he held her hand and put his head on Tamamo's, her ear bending gently. Naruto's smile faltered as he opened his eyes and looked at his wife. She is much thinner than she should be, and she hasn't been eating very much as of late. He thought as he kissed her head. Hey, not fair. Naruto, Tamamo, and Hilda looked over and saw Akasha and Yasaka wrestling on the ground. Okay, you two, that's enough. Naruto said as he got up and pulled the children apart. What happened? Yasaka isn't playing fair? Akasha shouted as she pointed her finger accusingly at Yasaka, who glared at her cousin. We said a few seconds before tagging, and she keeps tagging me right after I tag her. Liar, I am playing fair. Yasaka refuted. Naruto sighed. Okay, you two, Tamamo said as she stood up, walking towards them. There is. Tamamo's eyes widened as she collapsed, clutching her stomach as she started coughing, her throat becoming raspy as she violently coughed. Is this blood? She thought as she saw the crimson liquid soak her hands. Pain spiked and lowered sporadically in her stomach. Tamamo/Mama. Naruto and Yasaka shouted as they ran to Tamamo. Akasha and Yasaka were confused as they watched Naruto pick Tamamo up. Hilda, take care of Yasaka. Naruto ordered before Yasaka grabbed his leg. Papa, what's happening to Mama? Yasaka asked as she shook Naruto's clothes, only for Hilda to pick her up to let Naruto leave. Papa. Yasaka shouted as she didn't want to be separated from her parents, but Hilda's grasp on her and Akasha prevented her from trying to follow. Naru. Tamamo coughed, splashing blood across his chest. I'm scared. She clutched his kimono as Naruto picked up his pace. Don't worry, you will be fine. Naruto said in a panicked tone, trying to stay calm to give Tamamo comfort. I promise, the doctors will help you. Tamamo's tail shook between her legs as she teared up as the pain spiked again. Naruto arrived and kicked the door open. Doctor! Naruto shouted, making the medics jump. We need help. Compound. I want to see Mama. Yasaka shouted as she struggled to break out of Hilda's grasp as Akasha watched her own mother hold the tiny fox child down. Yasaka, we should. I want Mama. Yasaka screamed, her power flaring high enough to cause a shockwave breaking Hilda's grasp, nearly taking her arms off thanks to her endurance as a vampire, and sending her into the wall and to the floor. Such power, she, truly is Naruto's daughter. Hilda thought as she pulled herself up from the ground to see the shocked look on Yasaka and Akasha's faces. Auntie, I am sorry. Yasaka choked as she started to cry when Hilda's arms started to swell and become a deep blue. It's okay dear. Hilda said as her arms went numb with a smile. We just need to be more careful. Akasha took Yasaka's hand and pulled her into a hug, the small fox hugging her cousin as she started to cry in confusion. Hospital. Naruto sat outside the emergency ward as the doctors scrambled around Tamamo, scanning her body with every method they could think of as her fever increased, coating her thin body in a layer of sweat. He gripped his hands together, tapping his foot against the floor, feeling helpless as he bit his lip to keep himself from interfering, not wanting to make things worse. Naruto. He looked up and saw their physician, Dr. Reka, with a sad look on her face as she approached him. She held up her hand to keep him from speaking. I am sorry, but this is our fault. She stated with a bow, getting on her hands and knees, pressing her forehead to the floor. We misdiagnosed Tamamo. So, it wasn't a cold? Naruto asked in a restrained tone. It wasn't. Reka replied as she sat up on her knees. It is a bacterial infection from the placenta fluid that we missed. What? Naruto asked dumbly. Reka's shoulders slanted as they sighed, taking a brief moment to think. The fluid that helps the child in the womb stay healthy, she explained, getting a nod from Naruto. But, when we performed the C-section, we didn't get all of it when we sealed it shut, so for the last 4 years, what we assumed to be a cold, was a bacterial infection and it has been killing your wife. Naruto's world seemed to shatter at those words as his hands fell to his lap. For now, we have her stable, but her body is extremely weak. Reka continued as she reread Tamamo's file. The stress from all these years of fighting it is basically catching up to her. Is there anything you can do to save her? Naruto asked as he stood up, body shaking as he put on a calm face, though his eyes showed he was breaking. We are doing what we can, but it could already be too late. Reka stated, though her voice hitched as she felt her throat dry. She could have minutes or days. Better make them count. Reka turned to re-enter the operation room, stopping to look at Naruto as he collapsed into the seat as he grasped his face with his hands. I am sorry, but it is worse to lie about these things, she said before she left Naruto alone. Naruto? Jayaki asked in worry as Naruto shook harder. Naruto took a deep inhale and screamed as loud as he could into his hands, shocking the tailed beasts and many hospital workers and patients. Please, no, he thought as he gripped his head. Please, don't take her. I don't want to lose her too. Naruto stayed the entire day and night, refusing to leave the hospital. The sun rose and drifted across the sky until it was late evening, filling the hall in its orange glow. Do you know why good people die, young man? Naruto glanced to his side and saw a grotesque caricature of a Victorian gentleman whose attire consisted of a tan overcoat with a light purple inner collar, a black and green striped shirt, black trousers, and black shoes that curl up at the toe. In addition, he also wears a pair of pince-nez glasses, and a black top hat. He was a large, almost cartoonishly rotund figure, easily towering over everyone else. His face was goblin-like, with long pointed ears, and perhaps his most notable characteristic is his large rectangular-shaped mouth that appears stuck in a perpetual grin. He had gray skin and, on the rare occasion they can be seen behind his glasses, golden eyes, and in his hands was an umbrella with a pumpkin on the handle. It's the same reason why people pick flowers from a garden, he said as he turned to Naruto. Because they are the most beautiful, thus people want them dead. Naruto ignored him, turning his attention back to the door, only to be surprised when he saw the person standing before him. Is the person in there important to you, young man? He asked, chuckling. Well, you wouldn't be here if they weren't. What is this guy? Naruto thought on edge as he put his guard up. How about it? He asked, getting into Naruto's face. I can save the person in there, just say the word and I can. Naruto grabbed the man's face and pushed him away, making him trip over his and fall to the ground. As if I would fall for that stupid shit, Naruto stated aggressively. There is no way you could. Ha, 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 ha. The creature laughed as it floated into the air and landed on its feet. I thought you would think that way, but I should have known you would not fall for it. Who are you? Naruto demanded as he entered sage mode, not able to gauge this person's strength. He chuckled as he closed his umbrella, allowing the rain to fall on him. You can't tell, can you, Naruto Uzumaki? He asked as he narrowed his eyes. Well, I'm not too surprised, my better half does spoil you, even now. Naruto didn't know what he was talking about, but suddenly sensed a dark aura around this person, and it felt familiar. That's Naruto thought. Senjutsu. The person's grin got bigger. Exactly, I am the dark half of nature, representation of natural disasters and death, he introduced. And you have been an object of interest for some time, ever since you were born into this world. Naruto grabbed him, staring him in the eyes. You are the reason for everything. Naruto shouted. No need for violence, young man, he stated as he removed Naruto's hands from his body. Even if you were to kill me, I would not die. This body is just the form I decided to take to talk to you this day. Naruto glared at him. What did you want to do? Insult me? Naruto asked angrily. Or make fun of my loved ones? I'm not as barbaric to insult your wife, Nature said, waving off the accusation. I am here because I don't understand why you aren't broken. Broken? Yes, broken, Nature replied. You see, I know you are not from this world, So I decided to twist your fate to make sure you suffer, wanting to see your breaking point, yet you never broke. I checked the records from your previous life, and I noticed you didn't break there either, even in the face of the man who killed your dear Jiraiya, and here, you stand before the force that killed your grandfather, your friend, and soon, your wife. Naruto saw images of Iroh, Adrian, and Tamamo flash in his mind as he shook with rage. I can't allow myself to break, Naruto stated as he stared at nature. Nature sighed in disappointment and shook its head. I see, a foolish human thing to believe or say, he said as he started to fade. I will keep an eye on you, and never forget, I could easily make your life hell, Naruto. And I will take anything you throw at me. Naruto shouted, making nature laugh at him before he fully vanished. Who the hell are you talking to, Naruto? Kurama asked, not seeing nature within Naruto. Naruto blinked. He was sitting down, not having moved from his seat. Was that just a figment of my imagination? Or was that real? Naruto thought, not sure if he had zoned out as it all felt so surreal as the doctors and surgeons slowly walked out, all tired from the long hours. Naruto entered the room, seeing Tamamo on a futon. On her throat was a seal funneling oxygen into her lungs, and one her arms was above the blanket with a red seal connected to vials of blood to channel new, clean, compatible blood into her veins. Her ears twitched as Naruto sat next to her, prompting her to open her eyes, which had gained heavy bags, making her look exhausted. Hey. She whispered as she moved her other hand out from under the blanket to reach out for him, which her gently took her hand in his as he scooted forward. Hey. Naruto choked as he wiped his eyes. You look like shit. Tamamo joked with a faint chuckle. Yeah, but you don't look good either. Naruto responded, earning a struggled laugh. An eerie silence drowned the laughter, lingering like fog in a cemetery. Where is Yasaka? Tamamo asked as she realized her daughter was not present. I left her with Hilda at the house, Naruto informed. Tamamo nodded, eyes feeling heavy and partially closing. She hummed as she shifted a bit. I want to see my daughter. Tamamo, you just went through. Naruto. Tamamo interrupted as she looked at her husband, her eyes pleading with him to bring Yasaka to her. Several minutes later, Yasaka's ears tingled as she heard footsteps approach the room. She ran out and saw her father standing there. Papa, where is Mama? Yasaka asked as she grabbed his leg, looking at him with teary eyes. Naruto put his hand on her head, rubbing it gently as he picked her up. I will take you to her, Yasaka, he said as he held her close. Don't worry. Naruto, what is going on? Hilda asked as she and Akasha entered the room. Oh, good, you come too, Naruto said as he motioned for the vampires to follow him. As they left, Yasaka felt anxiety plague her mind, holding her dad's kimono tightly as the building came into vision. She had been there several times, but today, she felt an ominous aura billowing around the sacred place of healing. Her breathing became labored, her grip on Naruto tightening. Yasaka, Naruto said, drawing her attention to him. He hugged her face in his neck as his hand rubbed the back of her head, running through her hair. I am here, so it's going to be okay, Naruto reassured her, hoping it helped. Yasaka found breathing to be easier, wrapping her arms around his neck as he carried her to her mother's room, followed by Hilda carrying Akasha. Dr. Rekka, Naruto said as he saw her walking out of Tamamo's room. We were just changing out the blood, Rekka responded, taking notice of Yasaka, Hilda, and Akasha, a sad smile on her face as she was wrecked with guilt. Tamamo is doing fine for now, so you can still visit her, just please, keep it quiet. Naruto and Hilda walked in, seeing Tamamo sitting up. Mama/auntie. Tamamo turned her head and was surprised to see Hilda and Akasha there, but smiled and opened her arms. Said arms were closed around the two girls the moment Naruto and Hilda put them down. It's okay, little ones, Tamamo said before she started coughing again, pushing them away as she did. Mama? Yasaka asked as she shook as Tamamo's coughing fit calmed down. Tamamo weakly smiled as she laid back down. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, Tamamo said as she patted the area next to her. Akasha and Yasaka got in as she hugged them again, smiling in content as she held her daughter and her niece. You are going to be okay, right, auntie? Akasha asked as she looked at Tamamo. Instantly, Naruto understood why Tamamo asked for him to bring Yasaka to her. Yes, everything is going to be fine. Tamamo answered as she snuggled with them. Just recovering is all. Naruto gripped his knees as he shook, gritting his teeth. Hilda, who could also tell, sadly put her hand on his shoulder, biting her lip to keep herself from crying. Mama, when are you coming home? Yasaka asked sadly as she relaxed in her mother's arm, her scent easing all fears. I was scared when you and Papa didn't come home. I'll be home as soon as the doctor says it's okay. Tamamo replied. They talked for an hour before Hilda decided to take Akasha home, leaving the family trio alone. Yasaka yawned, feeling drowsy from the excitement. Seems someone is getting tired. Naruto chuckled as he made a clone. Mama. Yasaka murmured. Love you. Tamamo caressed her cheek, making her smile as she drifted off into slumber. Tamamo reached over, grabbing a small bag that had her clothes in it, and pulled out the White Lotus sigil of leadership. I pass this on to you, my beloved. Tamamo thought as she placed it in Yasaka's hand, which she grasped tightly. She kissed Yasaka's head goodbye before Naruto's clone carefully took Yasaka from Tamamo. Make sure to tuck her into bed when you get home. Naruto told his clone, who rolled his eyes as he gave one last look at Tamamo, before he quietly left the room, informing the doctors Naruto was still here. Tamamo's smile was replaced with immense sadness and pain as she started to cry uncontrollably. I lied to her. Tamamo hiccuped, trying to wipe away her tears. I lied to Yasaka. It's unforgivable. Naruto said nothing as he grabbed her hand, squeezing it to let her know he was there for her. He activated his Byakugan, and on his wife's stomach, was a purple-like chakra swirling inside, signaling infection. He looked deeper, seeing it had infected her organs, except her heart. It hurts. Tamamo admitted as she calmed down. All this time, it was like being on fire. I can't. I just can't fight it anymore. Naruto wanted to say no. He wanted to tell her to keep fighting. He wanted her to stay with him. But no words. Nothing he thought could be forced out of his mouth. Tamamo was gasping for breath before it evened out, thanks to the oxygen seal. She turned and looked at Naruto, pain filling her soul. Hey, don't make that face. She said as she reached up and cupped his cheek. All words that could describe Naruto would not be enough. His chest felt tight, his heart ached, his organs were choked, his body wouldn't stop shaking and his eyes were not stop watering as Naruto tightly gripped her hand. It's okay to cry, Naruto. Tamamo whispered in pain. I know, I don't want to leave you, but... She coughed, pulling her hand back and covering her mouth as it was worse than before, blood splashing into her palms. Naruto's eyes widened. No. He stated as he hugged Tamamo, his tears soaking her hair. I can save you. Tamamo smiled warmly as she hugged Naruto back. Insert Guts theme, Berserk, I think it's time. Tamamo told him as she pulled back, pressing their foreheads together, not minding his tears on her face. I will tell Grandpa Iroh you say hi. Tamamo, please. Naruto begged. Please, don't leave us. Tamamo kissed him, putting as much love into it she could before she pulled back, defying the pain as long as she could before she had to lay down again. Will you stay with me, until the end? She asked. Naruto didn't respond with his words. He moved the blanket and got in next to her, putting his arm around her as Tamamo's tails weakly wrapped around him. She snuggled into his chest, silently shedding tears. I love you, Naruto. She whispered as her ears flattened across her head. I love you, now and forever, Tamamo. Naruto choked as he held her tightly. When the next dawn had cracked the horizon, Tamamo, Empress of Kyoto, was no more. 2 days later. It was early morning, all citizens of Kyoto present wearing black clothing. Naruto and Yasaka stood next to each other, Yasaka crying as they lowered Tamamo into the earth. She was adorned in a light lavender kimono, covered in a floral pattern under a transparent coffin, allowing them to see her as the diggers started to finish their job. As soon as the last bit of dirt covered her, Naruto and Yasaka walked up, placing flowers on her grave. One by one, the pile grew as different flowers were placed by the citizens, all of them approaching Naruto and Yasaka, giving their condolences and reassuring them. The last to pay respects were Hilda, Akasha, Lisa, Vlad, Zeus, and Hera. The other Olympians wanted to come, but Zeus ordered them to stay to protect Olympus, and personally gave Naruto condolences from each of them. Akasha walked up to Yasaka and took her hand. Neither said anything as they stared at the gravestone with Naruto. I think it is time to take the children home for a nap. Hera muttered, since she took notice it was starting to get windy, which carried the scent of rain. I'll take them to the compound. Lisa said as she picked up Akasha. Hilda picked up Yasaka, who hugged her ant figure while they walked to the compound, leaving Zeus, Hera, and Vlad alone. Naruto. Zeus said with concern as Naruto was very quiet. If you need any help with anything, you know you can count on us to help. I know. Naruto said as he turned to Zeus. Thank you. Zeus and Naruto shook hands before he and Hera did as well. Take care, Naruto. Hera said before she and her husband left. Vlad walked up to Naruto, looking at him. You are so much like Iroh, and yet so not. Vlad stated as he shook his head, a sad smile on his face as he remembered his best friend. I am like Grandpa, huh? Naruto asked. Yes, because I remember Miko's funeral, and he was acting the same way you are. Vlad stated as he gave Naruto a one-armed hug. I know you have been told this before, but remember, you need any help, even if it is mundane, you can call us. Naruto nodded before Vlad released him. Thank you, Vlad. Naruto said with a sincere, yet still sad smile. It started to sprinkle. It would be best if we returned to the compound. Vlad insisted. You go on ahead. I just want to be alone with her for a bit longer. Naruto replied. Vlad understood as he walked to the compound. Naruto stood there in the rain as it started to fall harder. He wanted to cry, but it had seemed like his body ran out of tears, so nature was giving him tears to shed. He sat down in the mud, not caring about his clothing, and slouched as the rain poured down harder on the young man. Nearby in a tree, Off-Eyes sat, watching Naruto as he got up to leave after several minutes of silence. On her cheek, a single tear fell to her chin. Tamamo. Off-Eyes thought sadly as she felt her chest tighten in sadness. Meanwhile, Underworld. You sure the chakra we got from Uzumaki is mixed from 9 different types of animals? Lucifer asked his head scientist. Before them were 9 small canisters of corrosive-colored chakra in it. Yes, sir. The scientist replied nervously to the paranoid Satan. Each type represents the 9 creatures he summoned that day. Lucifer stayed silent as he looked at the canisters, clearly remembering the tailed beasts. To be safe, take these and the necessary equipment to the human world for testing. Lucifer ordered. I don't want the research and tests to be interrupted because of this stupid civil war. Yes, sir. The scientist replied. Compound. Hilda placed Yasaka carefully on her futon, not wanting to wake her. Hilda, herself, wanted to cry, having lost a dear friend, but bit her cheek as she kissed Yasaka's head before wiping the tear stains off her cheeks. It's going to be okay, Yasaka. Hilda whispered as the tiny fox napped, making her ear twitch. Hilda left, silently shutting the door. Off-Eyes appeared as the door shut, her feet touching the floor. You poor girl. Off-Eyes thought as she stared at her granddaughter, reaching out to touch her head. Yasaka purred slightly before she started to tear up in her sleep. Off-Eyes' heart tightened. What can I do? Off-Eyes thought as she racked her brain for an answer. A light view, a candle lit itself above Off-Eyes' head before she vanished as silently as she arrived. European toy shop. A mother happily sewed the base for a velveteen toy, the base meaning it had no details, hair, or face. Off-Eyes appeared behind her and touched the back of the woman's head. The woman gasped as her mind was taken over by Off-Eyes. Now, so. Off-Eyes ordered, the mother silently doing as commanded. 1 hour later, Yasaka's room. Off-Eyes returned, looking around and saw Yasaka was fully asleep. I hope she loves this. Off-Eyes thought as she placed her gift next to Yasaka. There was some silence as Off-Eyes stared at Yasaka while she slept peacefully. Should I reveal myself to Ashura, now? Off-Eyes thought after several minutes. She had wanted to confront him again at the cemetery, but could not bring herself to do it now, due to the loss of Tamamo. Off-Eyes shook her head. Soon, I will talk to Ashura again. Off-Eyes thought as she looked at Yasaka. It's not like you to be like this, Off-Eyes. Off-Eyes turned and saw an angelic individual. She was roughly 5 feet 6 inches with a very lithe frame, her breasts at least 2 centimeters bigger than Off-Eyes' breasts. She had short white hair, silver gray eyes with a red pentagram star above her left eye with a red tinted scar trailing down in a line that severs her eyebrow and mars her eyelid, and hooks slightly at her cheekbone and follows her cheek down close to chin. It also has an extra line of scar tissue that runs parallel to her lower eyelid. Her outfit was an ethereal dress, forming a white hooded cowl at the shoulders and then becoming black cloth with red edges, leaving her feet bare. Nature. Off-Eyes stated as she recognized this woman. Nature smiled as she looked at Off-Eyes. It's been a while, old friend. Nature replied as she looked at the slumbering Yasaka. Off-Eyes stepped between Yasaka and Nature. Nature sighed as she turned. I know, my darker half visited your son, so you don't trust me near your family. But don't worry, I promise to keep the balance. Nature started walking away, fading away like mist. Off-Eyes waited several minutes, listening to Yasaka's breathing and the sounds she made as she moved around. She is gone. Off-Eyes thought with a sigh of relief. Nature, the good half, such a representation of, all light has darkness in them with that red scar over her left eye and cheek. Meaning, dark nature is aware of what she does, and vice versa. Off-Eyes knelt beside her granddaughter and kissed her forehead. I love you, Yasaka. Off-Eyes whispered with a small smile before she stood up. Like the way she entered, Off-Eyes faded away silently, not disturbing her precious grandchild's sleep. The moon streaked across the cold sky as the sun rose into the sky. As the light intensified, it moved, and landed on Yasaka's face. Her face scrunched up as she turned over, tail swishing as she covered her face with her blanket. Slowly her consciousness broke through and her eyes cracked open, before she shot up, fully awake as she grabbed what she saw. In her tiny hands was a velveteen Tamamo doll. Its round face, purple button eyes, with short light blonde hair with 2 ears and 9 tails as it was wearing a Maiko outfit. It was 30 centimeters in height, and 10 in width. It was very soft to the touch and moved in any direction she moved it. Tied to its neck with loose cord was a small poem in Japanese. Roses are red, violets are blue, don't cry my dear, for I am always with you. Yasaka's eyes started to water as she pulled the doll into her embrace as she started to cry in silence with a trembling smile. Mama. She thought as she squeezed the doll. Her bedroom door opened to reveal Naruto, wearing a sleeping yukata. Oh, you're awake. Naruto said as he saw Yasaka sitting with her back to him. What's wrong, dear? Naruto sat next to her and noticed the doll. Papa. Yasaka hiccuped as she turned to him. Mama came back. Naruto gently pulled Yasaka into his lap and hugged her head against his chest. Yes, it seems she did. Naruto said as he smiled. Yasaka tightened her grip on the doll, happy to have it. You ready for breakfast? Naruto asked as he stood up, holding Yasaka in his arms. The young child nodded her head happily, making Naruto smile as he walked to the kitchen where Domaru and Toshimi were cooking breakfast. I know, the upcoming time will be difficult. Naruto thought as he walked through the compound. But I will push forward. Later that day. Are you sure you want to do this, Naruto? Domaru asked him again as Naruto put the white lotus pin on his outfit. Of course. Naruto answered in a relaxed tone, not worried that much. Yasaka is too young to lead, and since Tamamo was my wife, I don't mind being the leader until Yasaka is ready. I know, but there. Those who don't accept me as the leader are allowed to feel that way, Domaru. Naruto interrupted. I know you are worried, but let's take a deep breath. Naruto and Domaru took a deep breath. Papa. Naruto turned and saw Yasaka and Toshimi. While Naruto wore a black and orange kimono that was fit for an emperor, Yasaka wore a bright pink and crimson kimono with her hair up. In her arms was her doll. You look adorable, Yasaka. Naruto said as he took her in his arms, rubbing their foreheads together. That's Mama's pin. Yasaka said as she realized the white lotus pin. Yes, it is, dear, and now, let's address our people. Naruto said as he stepped outside, the whole populace of Kyoto outside and looking at the two of them. You nervous, Naruto? Son Goku asked with a hearty laugh, knowing Naruto was nervous, and was now even more so. Shut up, don't talk to me. You want me to embarrass myself and Yasaka? Naruto thought as he cut the connection to the beasts. People of Kyoto, Naruto stated loudly, using chakra to enhance his voice to all present were able to hear him. Empress Tamamo has sadly passed, and Princess Yasaka is too young to take charge. So, Naruto heard many gasps and murmurs as the older generations saw the white lotus pin as he put Yasaka down, holding her hand. Until she is ready, I will be the temporary emperor of Kyoto. Naruto announced. I will step down when Princess Yasaka is prepared to lead. Naruto didn't even need to use negative emotion sensing to tell that there were many yokai present who were not happy with this announcement. Most of the older generations were angry, their hatred of humans unable to accept it. However, unbeknownst to Naruto and Kurama, Yasaka felt the negativity of her people. She felt a heavy burden press itself on her shoulders as the murmurs got louder. Please, Yasaka begged, her voice echoing through the crowd. Papa wants to help in Mama's place, so, please let him help while I can't. Many of the voices were silenced, and many yokai having heard their princess beg them to give Naruto a chance. Thank you, Yasaka. Naruto thought as he could feel a majority of the resentful yokai willingly put their prejudice beliefs aside to give him a chance. Skip, 1357. Thank Tobirama for shadow clones. Naruto, age 28, laughed as he was swarmed by stacks of paperwork. Thank God I can still spend time with Yasaka. Later boss. The clones said in resentment as Naruto left them to do their job. Naruto sighed. To think old man Hokage, Dad, and Granny Tsunade did this day in and day out. Naruto thought as he walked from his office. Papa. Uncle Naru. Naruto opened his arms and caught Akasha and Yasaka, spinning them around with a hearty laugh as he hugged them. How are my two little sunshines doing today? Naruto asked as he held them in one arm each. Akasha, age 5, had her hair in 2 pigtails, and wore a cute sundress of the time. Yasaka, age 5, wore a light kimono that showed off her status as a princess. I'm happy, I get to sleep over tonight. Akasha stated happily as she squeezed Naruto's neck in her hug, nearly strangling him. She is your daughter all right, Adrian. Naruto thought as he struggled to breathe. So, what do you two want to do for lunch? Naruto asked as he carried the children in. Ramen/macro-afamat. Yasaka and Akasha shouted in Naruto's ears, turning to each other to glare at each other. Ramen. Yasaka stated. Macro-afamat. Akasha retorted, Ramen. Macro-afamat. Ramen. Macro-afamat. Alright, that's enough you two. Naruto interrupted as he put them down, flicking both girls in the ears. We don't need you two hurting each other, do we? No. Both girls replied in defeat. Alright, now, I'll brew us some tea while a clone makes us lunch. Naruto stated as he pushed the girls towards the living area. Go play, I'll join you in a few minutes. Okay, Papa. Yasaka answered as she took Akasha's hand and they walked to her bedroom. Yasaka's room was quite spacious. There were multiple shelves full of scrolls, a large closet full of various yukata and kimonos. There was a desk and a few cases loaded with toys and other things Yasaka owned. There was a small circular table in the center of the room with a few cushions around it. Her futon was neatly folded and placed into one of the corners, with the Tamamo doll placed on top of it. Akasha smiled as she entered Yasaka's bedroom, moving toward the scroll shelves, pulling one out, sitting at the table and opened it. With her upbringing, going between Romania and Japan, Akasha had picked up the language and was learning how to read Japanese as well as Romanian. You like reading, don't you? Yasaka asked as she pulled out several toys, wooden figures that had been made by hand. Akasha shrugged her shoulders as she continued to read. I do, but the scrolls here in Japan are more interesting than the dusty old tomes Grandpa has in his library. Akasha admitted as she looked at Yasaka as she sat down, taking one of the wooden figures and started playing with it. I bet there are interesting things at your castle. Yasaka stated in a bored tone. Like what? Akasha asked as she closed the scroll. Yasaka put her finger on her lip and thought, tail swaying silently as she did. Just. I think it would. Akasha quirked an eyebrow. There was a knock at the door. Tea is done. Naruto said as he entered the room, a small tray with cups and a fresh pot of green tea. Akasha put the scroll aside, not wanting it to get ruined as Yasaka pushed her toys to the floor while Naruto sat down, putting the cups out and carefully pouring the tea. Thank you, Uncle Naru. Akasha stated happily, revealing 2 teeth missing. Thank you, Papa. Yasaka cheered as she and Akasha loudly drank their tea. Naruto didn't answer. He simply smiled and sipped his tea quietly. Naruto. Kurama mumbled lazily. He was currently deep within the tailed beast psyche, each of his siblings on a higher level so they could get time alone. Yeah, old friend, I feel them. Naruto thought back as he continued to relax. Outside the compound were 4 yokai. 2 of them were Kama-Idaki weasels, male and female. The female having an eye patch as they both wore black and red mercenary clothing. The female had 2 chain sickles on her back while the male had a large fan on his back. The third yokai was a salamander. They were bipedal, having a human shape. But their skin was scaly, their belly and underarms were a light gray while the top scales were a dull gray lavender. They wore a single layer yukata. Their eyes were not visible, and its mouth was quite large, nearly going where human ears would be placed. The final yokai was Anu. They had the head of a monkey with large fangs and a white mane, their body that of a tanuki, while its limbs were that of a tiger with the fur of a tiger, and its tail was a white snake. They wore a single layer yukata as well. You sure that he is in there? The male Kama-Idaki asked as he looked at his fellow yokai. Has Gozu's sensing ability ever led us astray? The female Kama-Idaki replied as she turned to look at him. You don't need to be afraid, brother. But, Tamari. Kamatari started to say to his sister before the new growled. Enough, Kamatari. He grunted. We have been planning this ever since that human declared himself emperor. Gozu. Kamatari whined at the new. The salamander put their hand on his shoulder, drawing his attention. Ibus. Ibus didn't say anything, but Kamatari could understand his feelings from his chakra. Okay, you're right. Kamatari stated as he drew his fan. Humans, they have no right giving us orders. Especially after taking our parents. He opened his fan, revealing the chakra-enhanced paper with 3 red circles on it. 1 strike will drive the bastard out. Kamatari stated. Then we chain him down. Tamari continued as she drew her sickle, the chain jingling as she prepared her stance. Ibus, who was mute, didn't talk, but gestured with his hand pointing to his open mouth. Then I gas him with my poison mist to weaken him. Gozu growled as he grinned, moving the yukata's shoulders off his, letting it hang around his waist. Then I deliver the finishing blow. Gozu stated as he snarled. All 4 of them drew in nature energy, entering their personal sage mode. Kamatari channeled his chakra into his fan, changing it into wind chakra. Sage art, quick beheading dance. Kamatari thought as he swung his fan, the torrential winds barreling towards the compound's outer wall. Gozu got anxious as the weight was killing him. The wind hit the wall, and as it cut into the wall, they could feel all the chakra getting absorbed in a focused location before they saw Naruto standing before them with his hand held out. He was in sage mode with his Rain Sharingan open as he lowered his arm. Naruto exuded an aura of calm, in body language, facial expressions, and his chakra. You know, he said as he looked at the damage to the wall, which was roughed up and the support on the outer section was completely destroyed while large amounts of paint had been stripped off. You know, Naruto said in a very calm, Iroh-like tone as he carried himself with concern and acknowledgement. Most people would be extremely. Naruto didn't even try to evade as Tamari's chain sickle wrapped around him 7 times and then tightened, keeping his arms from moving. Well, this is a predicament. Naruto said in a concerned tone, but never lost his relaxed demeanor as Ibus took a deep inhale and expelled a large purple poisonous gas cloud. Kamatari, Tamari, and Gozu jumped out of the range of the cloud, Ibus taking hold of Tamari's chain sickle to keep Naruto in place as he was immune to his own poison. Good job, Ibus. Kamatari cheered. Yes, good job, little brother. Gozu stated as he was itching for Naruto's blood. The gas cloud slowly drifted to the ground since the particles too heavy to drift very far before it landed on the dirt. Naruto stood still, not moving. Now, we can kill the bastard human who defiled the royal bloodline. Gozu shouted gleefully as he lunged towards Naruto. What to do? Naruto thought as he flexed, the chain shattering into chunks as Gozu closed the distance. Naruto saw Gozu's movements as if he was in slow motion, as if he was not even moving, thanks to his Rain Sharingan. Naruto easily stepped to the side, allowing Gozu to move past his right side before Naruto turned to face the moving Nu as he raised his left hand above his head. Sage art. Naruto stated as a Raise-Non spun to life in his left hand, Shukaku's magnet chakra mixing into Naruto's Sage mode enhanced Raise-Non, Shukaku's curse mark pattern forming on it. Magnet style Raise-Non. Gozu, with his Sage mode enhanced sensing, could not feel a single amount of malice in Naruto's chakra as the magnet Raise-Non struck his back, the curse mark pattern spreading across his body and immobilized his body, weighing him into the ground due to him being in midair, face planting into the dirt. Gozu. Temari and Kamatari shouted as Ibus was shocked, his body language showing disbelief as he shook in his knees and arms. Ibus undid his physical transformation, his body expanding, losing its human shape, and become a monstrous salamander 4 times as tall as Naruto, and 3 times as wide. Ibus, calm down. Temari shouted as she realized Ibus had reverted to his true form in fear and desperation. Ibus lunged towards Naruto, mouth open. Naruto, as calm as can be, raised his hand. Ibus lost all momentum, his limbs moving in fright as he tried to get his bearings straight as Naruto held him within the air before he was propelled backwards into several trees, hitting the ground, not moving. Oh, crap, did I overdo it? Naruto asked with worry, not breaking his calm demeanor. He took 2 steps towards Ibus to check on him, to stop when he felt Kamatari and Temari above him, fan and sickles in their respective hands. Wind style, great breakthrough. Kamatari stated with bloodlust as he swung his fan. Wind style, claw marks of the weasel. Temari shouted as she swung her sickles multiple times, sending razor-sharp blades of wind. Naruto raised his hands, a dome of chakra enveloping him. Kamatari and Temari had to watch as their attacks were absorbed into Naruto's palms, the excessive chakra he took in carefully funneled through his legs and returned to nature. Naruto's hands didn't lower as he used Bansho Tenin to pull Kamatari and Temari into his hands. Expecting him to kill them, Kamatari and Temari were surprised when Naruto carefully put them back on the ground. Okay, you 2 stay here, I am going to check on your salamander buddy. Naruto stated as he turned his unprotected back to the weasels as he approached Ibus. They were shocked stiff as Naruto used his Byakugan to check over Ibus, letting out a huge sigh of relief. Oh, thank the merciful Buddha, they are alive. Naruto thought as he deactivated his Byakugan and Rain Sharingan, but staying in sage mode. Now, he turned to face the Kama Itaki, making them stiffen in fear. Did you 4 need something from me? Naruto sat in a chair with a deadpan expression. Gozu, Kamatari, Temari, and Ibus were sitting before Naruto and the council, who were not happy to be called on their day off, sitting on their knees on triangle grooved tiles with heavy tiles on top of their legs. Don't you think this is a bit excessive? Naruto asked as he didn't see the point of doing this. It is within the limits of their punishment. One of the council members said. They attacked your home, put the princess and the vampire princess in harm's way, so light torture is acceptable. Naruto frowned at this old-fashioned way of thinking. Well, don't go overboard. Naruto replied as he turned his attention to the 4 yokai. Why did you attack my home? Why do you think? Gozu snapped as he bared his fangs at Naruto, who stayed relaxed under this threat. A disgusting human such as yourself sitting on the throne. It's unacceptable. You poisoning the royal family, driving Empress Miko insane by living. Kamatari shouted in anger. Making General Iroh pointlessly sacrifice himself during the faction war, Empress Miko wouldn't have done that. And how can we forget the death of Empress Tamamo? 2 more tiles were thrown on Kamatari's pile, making him whimper in pain as the weight was painfully increased. Naruto's relaxed demeanor became serious at the mention of Miko. Miko was broken, emotionally and mentally. She would have led Kyoto to a bloodbath if she was empress during the faction war. Naruto stated as he stared at Kamatari, shutting the Kama Itaki up as he didn't break eye contact. General Iroh made th choice of protecting his family, so his passing was not pointless. As for Tamamo, Naruto closed his eyes as he took a sharp breath, keeping himself calm at these accusations. What is the real reason you hate me? Naruto asked calmly. Humans killed out families, leaving us to die. Temari shouted, getting another block slammed onto her legs, pressing her further onto the torture stone. We had to scavenge and steal just to live, so to see a pampered human snuggling on the throne makes us sick. Ibus, sadly, just whimpered at 2 blocks on his legs, not needing to be punished further as he stayed mostly silent. Gozu felt his blood boiling at the silence Naruto gave them. You are an arrogant punk. Gozu shouted as 10 blocks landed on his pile, making it feel like the triangles were digging deep enough into his legs that they were being cut open. You aren't fit, no, you are not worthy of being out leader. Naruto looked at him with sad apathy. Nothing I say could persuade any of you to be willing to work under me. Naruto asked sort of randomly. Of course not. Gozu shouted. No. Temari stated. Ibus shook his head. Fuck no. Kamatari replied. Naruto's apathy increased as he stood up, making his decision. By sunset tomorrow, I want all 4 of you out of Kyoto. Naruto declared. What? You are banished from Kyoto, never to return. Naruto stated clearly. Now get out of here and get your stuff. You bastard. Gozu shouted as he pushed off his knees, his blood splattering on the floor as he opened his mouth wide to tear into Naruto's throat. Naruto simply leaned to the right and kneed Gozu at the same time, his shoulder and throat being saved from the Nu's fangs while his knee embedded itself into said Nu's stomach. Gozu. Kamatari and Temari shouted in concern as he collapsed to the ground, eyes glazed over as he was unconscious, before they glared at Naruto. You'll pay for that, Uzumaki. Maybe, but I suggest you take him and leave, or else I won't be lenient. Naruto stated with regret and disappointment. The 4 yokai were released, the Kama Itaki carrying Gozu out as they left. You sure it is a good idea to let them go with just banishment? One of the members asked as they looked at their leader, who nodded. They didn't kill anyone, so this is the best punishment. Naruto replied, not regretting his choice of punishment. Hopefully, they can grow as people, and break free from the cycle of hatred. There was a slight murmur between the council members before they dispersed and returned to their homes, leaving Naruto and his clones to fix the damaged outer wall as a clone played with Yasaka and Akasha. That evening. Bastard. Gozu grumbled as he finished packing all the belongings he owned, seething at his second humiliating defeat handed to him by Naruto, and since he was not even in sage mode, it was even more humiliating. You sure that is everything? Kamatari asked Ibus, who nodded his head and pointed towards their bedrooms, pointed to himself, and then pretended to fold clothing and put it into packages. All right, thank you Ibus. Temari, meanwhile, was outside getting their ox cart set up on 2 mighty oxen. Okay, the cart is ready. She called out in defeat. The 4 of them silently packed the cart of their belongings and food. To think it has been 17 years since we became a family. Kamatari mumbled as he looked at the stripped building. It was an old home on the outskirts, not too pretty, but functional as a home. They had found it and together were able to make it livable. Yeah, but now we have to leave it, because of that false king kicking us out. Temari snipped as she placed the latch onto the cart, keeping their luggage and supplies inside it. We will come back someday. Gozu stated as he slapped the ox on its ass, making it get motivated to move, along with the second ox, making both of them start walking. And we shall overthrow that brat. They traveled through the twilight of their now former home, traveling for hours into the night, sleeping in the trees for the night once they were safely outside Kyoto's barriers. Summer, Wallachia, 3 months later. Naruto slept under a tree, a line of drool dripping from the edge of his mouth. The paperwork had piled up heavily for a while, and since today was his day off, he left his paperwork in the hands of the council. He was visiting Vlad and Lisa with Yasaka and after a few hours he took a walk, only to sit down and almost instantly fall asleep. Naruto's prone form was found by Akasha and Hector, who was her bodyguard. Uncle. Akasha whispered as she prodded Naruto's cheek, making it tilt as she pushed his head with her tiny finger. Uncle Naru. She tilted her head cutely as she pouted when Naruto didn't wake up to respond. Lady Akasha, Hector said worriedly. I don't think Master Naruto would like it if you kept poking him. Akasha looked at Hector. Why not? She asked as she tilted her head in the opposite direction. Hector didn't know what he should do as he sighed while Akasha kept poking Naruto's cheek. Yes, ka. Naruto mumbled in his sleep, grabbing Akasha's attention. Akasha's cheeks puffed out comically as she pinched Naruto's cheeks and pulled them. Wah. Naruto thought as he cracked his eyes open to see Akasha assaulting his cheeks with her pinching fingers. Ahushha. Akasha glared as she pulled his cheeks tighter before letting them go and storming off, Hector following her. Does anyone know what was going on? Naruto thought as his cheeks became red and lightly swelled. Someone might be jealous. Kokuo guessed. I wonder why. Naruto thought as he rubbed his eyes of the sleep before he wiped his mouth free of the drool. He stood up and stretched his limbs. Better get back to the castle and pick up Yasaka so we can go home. Naruto thought as his sore muscles relaxed. He walked through the woods, not bothered by its overall spooky atmosphere. Naruto's tired senses were snapped into being alert as he heard Akasha scream in the distance, and he took off running. Meanwhile, Akasha cowered as Hector's arm was broken when he defended her. Stupid human. A Capricorn grunted as he dug in his heels and sent Hector flying into one of the trees, gasping as he hit the ground, body riddled with pain. It was 3 times as tall as a human male, and 2 times as thick. Its muscles were thick and muscular. It had a dog head with 4 eyes, 2 where they would normally be and 2 in the nape of its neck. Its gray-green skin helped it blend into the environment. Now, for you. He salivated as he returned his attention to Akasha. No. Akasha shouted as she threw a rock at the Capricorn, which bounced off its shoulder. No need to struggle, it said with a disturbing chuckle as he reached out for her. I'll be gentle. He stopped as Naruto appeared, grasping the Capricorn's wrist, anger evident on his face as he dug his fingers into the thick hide. Hey, Lego, it shouted as its wrist started to hurt, trying to pull it back but couldn't budge from how tight Naruto gripped its arm. I said Lego, you bastard. It swung its other arm, aiming to take off Naruto's head, but its fist was caught and bent in the opposite direction by Naruto's other hand. It shouted in pain as its flesh was torn open, making blood, muscle tissue, bone, and marrow fly out. And here I thought I knew what a pervert was. Naruto said darkly. But you are nothing but a piece of shit. What did you call me, you little bastard? The Capricorn shouted as it lunged forward, its foaming mouth open to bite into Naruto. Naruto's frown deepened as he activated his Byakugan and struck its chest once, shutting down its heart. There was a silence as the body caught up with the brain as it realized it was already dead as Naruto let its arm go as he deactivated his Byakugan. Uncle! Akasha gasped as tears welled up in her eyes, hiccuping in fear as Naruto turned, his hardened features softening as the Capricorn fell onto the dirt path, dead. I am sorry I didn't make it here earlier. Naruto apologized as he made a clone to check on Hector, who was thankfully alive, and he knelt next to Akasha, who wrapped her arms around him, crying and hiccuping as she did, and he hugged her, rubbed by her back. It's going to be okay. I am here. SC scared. Akasha shakily said as Naruto stood up, carrying her in his arms as she grabbed onto him tightly, much too tight, but Naruto didn't mind. Boss, he is not in any danger of dying, but he could be in trouble if he doesn't see immediate help. Naruto's clone stated as it carefully carried Hector, his broken arm hanging limply in the air. All right. Naruto said before he and his clone took off towards the castle, all the while he continued to comfort Akasha, who was calming down. Uncle Naru. Akasha thought as she felt exhausted, Naruto's movements lulling her to sleep. Upon their arrival, Naruto was confronted by Vlad and Hilda, who were horrified to see Hector's condition. As the Forge Master was taken to the infirmary, Naruto explained what happened, unable to give Akasha to Hilda as she stubbornly refused to let Naruto go until she fell asleep. You killed it, didn't you? Vlad asked after Hilda carried her daughter off to take a nap, where Yasaka was currently resting. Of course, I did. Naruto replied as he crossed his arms. I didn't need to sense his emotions to tell what he was thinking of doing to Akasha, and since he didn't back down. Naruto went silent as he realized something. I am willing to let people go when they target me, but target my child or Akasha, and I am willing to kill them. Naruto asked himself. Hypocrisy plagued his mind as he felt stupidity arrive, followed by foolishness. Grandpa Iroh would have just incapacitated that thing instead of killing it. Naruto thought as he shook his head. I guess I still have a lot to learn. Naruto, do you still use the sword you won from Adrian? Vlad asked, seeing Naruto's inner turmoil subsiding. Yes, I do. Naruto said as he held his hand out and a seal appeared on his hand, the sheathed sword appearing, and he grabbed the covered blade before sealing it away again. This way, I always have it with me and it won't get in the way or stolen. Vlad smiled as he patted Naruto on the shoulder. I am happy you still have it, makes me remember when the two of you were nothing but children. Vlad stated fondly as he ruffled Naruto's hair. Vlad, I'm 28. Naruto said in deadpan as the vampire continued to ruffle his hair. Stop it. Vlad chuckled. Well, compared to me, you are still a brat. He said with a smirk as Naruto frowned. Meanwhile, Hilda carried Akasha into her bedroom. Oh, you are awake. Hilda said as she saw Yasaka playing with one of Akasha's toys. What happened? Yasaka asked as she saw Akasha. Why are you sad? Hilda blinked. I am not sad, dear. Yes, you are. It is like, I can feel your sadness. You have these. Yasaka stammered as he tried to explain this to Hilda, It hurts and I don't like this feeling I get from you. Nothing about my tone or body language gave away anything, so how did? Hilda thought in confusion. Could she have the same ability Naruto has, to sense negative emotions? Well, Akasha and Hector had a horrible encounter with a monster, Yasaka. Hilda explained, deciding it was better to not lie and be honest. Thankfully, your father was able to save them both before they could get hurt further. Hour later. Haha, you had to be saved. Yasaka taunted Akasha, who was pouting with her cheeks were red as Yasaka moved around her. Papa had to save you, Papa had to save you, Papa had to save you, Yasaka, that. Naruto started to interrupt, not liking how rude Yasaka was being. Akasha pushed Yasaka before Naruto could continue. I will be stronger than you, so that I won't ever need to be saved. Akasha shouted angrily as her eyes watered from anger and embarrassment. I'll be stronger than you. Yasaka, not liking the fact she had been pushed, shoved Akasha to the ground. As if that could ever happen. Yasaka shouted as she pounced on top of Akasha and they started to fight. Okay, that's enough. Hilda and Naruto shouted as they grabbed their respectful child and separated them, propping them on their feet. She started it. Akasha and Yasaka shouted in unison, turning to each other. Stop copying me. No, you stop copying me. Akasha grabbed Yasaka's mouth, hooking her thumbs into Yasaka's mouth and pulled as Yasaka grabbed her cheeks and pinched. Ow, let me go. Stop, that hurts. Not until you let go. You first, stupid. Hilda and Naruto loomed over their daughters, making the two 5-year-olds go still as they turned and saw their respectful parent looking at them. Naruto took Yasaka out of the room as Hilda lifted Akasha up and onto her lap. Castle Dracula was filled with the sounds of spanking and embarrassed, pained cries of children begging their parent to stop. After it quieted down, Naruto returned with Yasaka, her face red and cheeks stained with tear marks with her eyes puffy and red. Hilda stood up and propped Akasha onto her feet. Now, what do we say? Naruto said as he gently nudged Yasaka towards Akasha. I am sorry. Yasaka hiccuped. I was mean and it was not nice. Hilda glanced down at Akasha, who could feel her mother's gaze on her. I accept your apology. She replied and hugged Yasaka. I am sorry for pushing you. I forgive you. Yasaka said as she hugged her cousin. Naruto and Hilda nodded with sighs of relief. Good, it's over. They thought as a maid knocked on the door. Dinner is ready to be served, Lady Hilda, Master Naruto. The maid said with a bow. All right, you two, let's go get washed up. Naruto said as he took Yasaka and Akasha's hands in his and led them to the washroom. He is really good with children, isn't he? The maid said as she saw the two children become happier. Yes, he is. Hilda said proudly, yet sadly. To her, she saw not only Naruto holding Akasha and Yasaka's hands, but Tamamo holding Yasaka's other hand as Adrian held Akasha's other hand, smiling and happy. Have you considered remarrying? Naruto would be ideal. The maid asked curiously, making Hilda's eyes bug out as she spat out her saliva. What? Hilda asked in a panic. Well, the maid said as she propped her chin in the palm of her hand, her fingers going up her cheek. You and Akasha do spend a lot of time with Naruto and Yasaka. You are a widow and Master Naruto is a widower. If you two got married, then the alliance between our factions will become even stronger. Hilda blushed as she thought of Naruto. I do agree, he is handsome, he is good with children, and is doing well in leading Kyoto. Hilda admitted as she blushed. But we can't marry each other. Why? The maid asked in confusion. Because Naruto and I can't see each other romantically. Hilda stated simply. For years I saw him as a brother, and he most likely saw me as a sister. I know he and Adrian considered themselves to be brothers. Meaning Naruto would not want to ste on Adrian's memory by wedding me. I am sorry, my lady. The maid said in shame. It's fine. Hilda stated as she wiped her eyes with her handkerchief. I will become stronger than you. Akasha shouted, which was loud enough to be heard all the way on the 3rd level of the castle since the dining hall was on the 1st floor and it echoed through the teleporting castle's stone and metal walls. Seems they are fighting again. Hilda chuckled as she made her way to the arguing children. She found Naruto and a clone washing Yasaka's and Akasha's hands as they glared at each other. No, I will be stronger than you, end of discussion. Yasaka retorted, making Naruto sigh. No, I will. You both will. Now stop arguing or your butts will be red again. Naruto stated clearly, not wanting to hear them shouting anymore. His ears were ringing loudly and he might potentially be going deaf. What is going on? Hilda asked as she started to wash her hands. Yasaka is saying she will be stronger than me when we grow up, and I am saying I will be the one stronger than her. Akasha stated, not yelling thankfully. But I will be stronger than you. Yasaka stated as she dried her hands. When in Kyoto, I draw power from the ley lines, so you would lose. But only when you are in Kyoto. Akasha reminded aggressively. You don't have access to that power here in Romania. Yasaka paused in thought, tails wagging in anger as her ears swayed, going up and down as she went through her thoughts. I will find a way to get around that. Yasaka stated as she pointed at Akasha, who smirked at her victory. Yasaka winced as Naruto flicked her ear, her hands shooting up and grasping the pained appendage. That is enough, you two. Naruto said in a light tone, since this wasn't a screaming match anymore and it was finally settling. Both of you will be powerful in your own right. There is no need to argue over this now. Okay, Papa. Yasaka said in defeat as she turned to Akasha. You won't be stronger, because every time you get one step ahead of me, I will go further. Akasha nodded. And when you think you surpassed me, I will come up from behind and snag the title of strongest from you. Akasha replied as the four went to dinner. Thus, a beautiful rivalry was born between the Princess of Kyoto and Princess of Wallachia. Summer of 1361, Underworld. Lucifer gasped for breath as he hid under a large chunk of debris. It had been 9 years since the start of the Devil Civil War, and after all that time, Lucifer never thought he nor his followers would be pushed to this degree. The anti-Satan faction had been able to breach the castle defenses and Leviathan had been slain by the Satriaris. Graphia! Graphia! Lucifer shouted as he summoned his servant. Graphia Lucifuge, devout servant to the Lucifer clan like her father before her, appeared before her master. She was a beautiful woman, with silver hair and blue-silver eyes. Her maid outfit was blue and silver. Yes, Lord Lucifer. Graphia said with a bow. How may? Lucifer grabbed Graphia's face, covering her mouth, and pulled her close, his eyes like an animal that was about to snap. Shut up, and get out there to distract those bastards while I escape. He ordered, getting a nod from Graphia. Even if you have to die. Graphia nodded again before Lucifer pushed her away. Get to it, now. Lucifer shouted. Graphia didn't respond verbally as she prepared herself for battle, and prepared herself for potential death before she left her king alone. Okay, she should buy me a few extra minutes. Lucifer thought as he opened a secret chamber, one he didn't bother close. The chamber was a second office, one where he kept the most secretive documents and evidence for the scientific research that he had conducted on the chakra they had obtained from Naruto. Once there, he sealed them away into a small envelope and he summoned his familiar, a small bat gargoyle, who took the paperwork. Lucifer touched the gargoyle's head, its eyes glowing as it was set to record his voice. Zalgia, when you get this message, I most likely will be dead. Lucifer stated, his voice being recorded. If that is true, please continue the research you have loyally been conducting on Uzumaki's chakra. I know creating life from said chakra has been difficult, which is why I am also sending all the notes and documents I have written for potential experiments. An explosion occurred, the power signature of Graphia clashing with someone Lucifer didn't care to recognize. Keep working on the experiments. We will harness that power Uzumaki displayed that day. We will stand above the corpses of our enemies, and you will be the crux to this. But for now, dear friend, stay in the human world and continue your experiments, and keep your head low. I am counting on you, Zalgia. Lucifer stopped the recording and listened to it. Now, go, Goliath. He told his familiar. Goliath bowed before it opened a hatch that acted as a window and spread his wings before taking flight. Lucifer closed the hatch, sitting down as his exhaustion caught up with him, the injuries he sustained starting to hurt more as he rested. After several minutes, Lucifer opened his eyes as he could feel 5 presences enter his bedroom and make their way to his hidden chamber. He leaned into his hand as Surtsks, Sirafal, Ajuka, Falbium, and Graphia arrived. All 5 of the young devils were beaten, bruised, and not in top shape. Lucifer, this ends now. Surtsks shouted, making Lucifer crack a grin and laugh in their faces. You brats are right, it is over. Lucifer laughed as he leaned back into his chair. The five braced themselves for Lucifer to attack them, but they were shocked when Lucifer shoved his finger into his carotid artery, his sadistic smile never leaving his face as he hooked his finger. In a brilliant and lovely flash of torn flesh and artery, blood spewed from Lucifer's neck as he violently ripped his finger out. Lucifer's laugh came out a gargled mess as his life slipped further into death. "I would never let you brats take my life," Lucifer stated as his hearing and vision started to fade, taking sadistic pleasure as he saw the shocked faces of the five young devils. "Ha, ha, ha, those faces will be the warm comfort I will enjoy while in the depths of hell." Lucifer slumped over, his blood coating the floor as his heart stopped. Did we win?" Falbium asked with a bated breath, not wanting to jinx them. "I think we did," Sirafal said in horror as the dead Devil King's last laugh not leaving his face, permanently etched into his flesh. Surtsk staggered a bit, having exhausted himself from all the fights they had to go through to get to this point, and was caught by Grafia. "Thank you," Surtsk thanked as sweat glistened across his face. Grafia, with tinted cheeks, nodded, too embarrassed to speak. "So, what should we do now?" Ajuka asked as he looked at his comrades. "We announce we won," Surtsk stated as he was helped up by Grafia. "And we can then set up new Satans to replace the four of them. A democratic vote." Sirafal asked as she sat down, her knees having been wobbling for a while and she didn't want to collapse. "If that is what the people want, then so be it," Surtsk replied tiredly as he moved to Lucifer's corpse, proceeding to cut his head off. "And this is our proof of the end of this civil war." The five walked out and addressed the anti-Satan faction, and they cheered at the severed head of Lucifer, all of them deciding on who they wanted as their new leaders. 2 days later. Unknown location, human world. Zalgia, head scientist under Lucifer, listened to the recording within Goliath for the umpteenth time that day after Goliath had found him. He was a tall man who wore a red jacket with yellow padded shoulders. He had pointy ears, white hair with a matching beard as well as purple eyes. "Sir, you have been listening to that all week," a young preteen said as she walked into the office, holding a tray of food. She had tan skin, purple eyes, lavender hair that went down to her mid-back and wore a scientist jacket over a black button-up uniform. "Shut up, Zelda," Zalgia shouted as he smacked the tray away, the food hitting the ground. "Lucifer is dead, my friend is dead." Zelda didn't make any facial expressions, but was terrified at the implications and the anger her husband showed. "Our king is dead," she thought as she started to clean up the mess Zalgia made. But she glanced at the door that led to the lab, where they kept the canisters of tailed beast chakra hidden. "Lucifer, I won't stop our research," Zalgia vowed as he took the letter from Goliath, who decided to stay with Zalgia now that its master was dead. "I promise, I will make those bastards pay." Zelda finished cleaning and walked out. A fruitless endeavor, dear, she thought as she threw out the food she had made. I don't like this." 2 days later, Underworld. Surtsk was standing nervously as he stood beside Falbium, Sirafal, and Ajuka. The men of the group each wore a mixture of formal suit and armor pauldrons on their arms while Sirafal wore a breastplate and dress. The colors represented their former family ties. Since they were about to be Satans, they could no longer have any ties to their former status as clan heirs. Surtsk had deep crimson and silver clothes. Ajuka had olive green and inky black clothes. Sirafal had blue teal and gray clothes. Falbium had gray and violet clothes. "Anyone else feel like they are about to piss themselves?" Ajuka asked nervously as he felt butterflies in his stomach. "Yeah, but I feel like I am about to puke," Falbium answered as he felt very sick. "I am." Sirafal started, but stopped, not wanting to make anything worse by describing the fact she felt like she was spotting, which female devils rarely had periods due to the low birth rates. Surtsk smiled. "What has you so happy?" Ajuka asked his friend. "It's just weird to think that this is happening," Surtsk replied as he looked at his comrades. "I mean, who would have thought the four of us would become Satans? And it might not have been us if Naruto Uzumaki never stopped the faction war." The other three blinked and remembered that day. Naruto Uzumaki, standing alone against all remaining faction armies, cloaked in golden light. They remembered animals he created from said golden power alongside the purple Tengu construct. The power they exuded felt like it had no equal. "Excuse me, Satans," Grafia said as she arrived, bowing. "It is time." "Thank you, Grafia. They said politely. Grafia smiled warmly, and she blushed as she saw Surtsks. She turned and led them out to the balcony, overseeing a few thousand devils of all classes, low, mid, high, ranging from civilians to the prestigious remaining 72 pillars. Grafia cleared her throat, it echoing across the land. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor to present to you, the Satans. Grafia announced, getting cheers from the large crowd. Head of Military Affairs, I present to you, Falbium Asmodeus. Falbium stepped forward, waving to the crowd as the cheers intensified. Head of Foreign Affairs, I present to you, Seraphal Leviathan. Grafia announced. Seraphal stepped forward and nervously smiled as the cheers were equally as loud as Falbium's. Head of Technology, I present to you, Ajuka Beelzebub. Grafia announced. Ajuka kept a stern face as he did his best to not break down crying from the cheers he received. Head of Domestic Affairs and leader of the Satans, I present to you, Surtsks Lucifer. Grafia announced with a blush as Surtsks stepped forward, the cheers reaching higher sound as the new Satans were fully revealed. Hours later, heaven. Michael and Gabriel were not surprised when they heard of the new Satans. I am happy that war is over. Michael stated as he smiled. It was said that they had that civil war to begin with. Gabriel replied, shedding a tear for all the lives that had been lost. Think about all those poor civilians who lost family members to their own brethren. Indeed, it is truly sad. Michael stated. Same time, the Grigori. New Satans. Azazel asked as he looked up from the project he was working on. Yes sir. Barakiel stated as he looked over some paperwork. 4 heirs from the remaining 72 pillars were chosen to be the new Satans. That is cool. Azazel replied with little interest. Just means we will have to be more careful in the human world now that the devils got their leadership under control. Next day, Kyoto. So, Naruto said to Zeus as he and the head god of the Olympians, in disguise as a yokai, ate lunch together. The devil civil war is over now. Yes, and has been for a week. Zeus said as he used utensils he was used to instead of chopsticks, which Naruto didn't mind. Just last night was their inauguration. Who are taking the titles of Satan? Naruto asked curiously. Surtsks Gremory is now Lucifer, Seraphal Citri is Leviathan, Falbium Glaciolabilas is Asmodeus, and Ajuka Astaroth is now Beelzebub. Zeus replied as he stroked his beard and thought. I am surprised you haven't heard about it. Well, I am a Singe father on top of being the leader, so I am trying to be there for my 8-year-old daughter, Zeus. Naruto retorted. I don't have the ability to be carefree with my child's development. Zeus laughed at the jab. While you're correct, it doesn't mean you can't pay attention to the outside world. Zeus said as he stood up and paid for his meal. Thanks for lunch, Naruto. Later Zeus. Naruto said, before becoming very serious. If I feel or even think I feel any one of my people being seduced or forced into a sexual act against their will, Hera won't be the only person you will be fearing. Zeus shrugged off Naruto's words, not even going to do anything. A beautiful yokai woman walked past the god, making him watch her walk before him and turn his head. Zeus. Naruto warned as he glared at the god. Zeus shook his head, bagged his libido and put it away before he made his way home. Naruto sighed as he finished his meal, paying for both his and Zeus's food before he walked home. Meanwhile, Yasaka, age 8, finished her classes for the day and was alone in the compound. Domaru and Toshimi were taking a 2-week vacation and Naruto was on his way home from lunch, which Yasaka didn't know about, leaving the compound all for her in the meantime. Yasaka made it to her room, smirking with a bright glint in her eyes. Papa is out and about, most likely in a meeting. Doma and Toshi are gone, and so, she said as she shut her door, closing the hatch before she moved to the corner of her room, opposite of her folded futon with her Tamamo doll. She knelt down and balled her hand into a fist and hit the floorboards 3 times. On the 3rd hit, the floorboard opened to reveal a hidden space, which was installed centuries before by the first ruler of Kyoto due to the warring states at the time, and pulled out small items. I can make Papa's birthday gift in secret now without distractions. Yasaka thought as she looked at her items. Ink brush, ink bottle, a large canvas, and a photo of her parents with Hilda and Adrian. Opening the scroll, Yasaka carefully opened the ink bottle and looked at the photo for a few seconds before she put ink to paper. She continued to look back and forth from the picture and the canvas for several minutes. Yasaka paused when she heard footsteps near the door. Quickly, but carefully, Yasaka stored the objects back into their hiding space and closed it before running to the door, a bright smile on her face as she saw Naruto. "Papa!" Yasaka shouted with child happiness as she hugged her father's waist, her face rubbing against his stomach. "Hey, Yasaka!" Naruto said as he knelt down and hugged her, kissing her head. "How were your classes today?" "They were boring," Yasaka stated bluntly with a frown. "We aren't learning anything important. History won't help me be a good leader." Naruto let out a laugh, making Yasaka pout. "Sorry, but that isn't true," Naruto said as he calmed down. "You think history isn't important, so, what if one of the previous leaders caused mass genocide, and then he was murdered by his people? Would you follow in his footsteps?" "No," Yasaka answered. "See, history is important. We need to look back at our predecessors and see what they did to help our home, for good and for bad. That way, we can improve what they accomplished and make the future brighter." "Is that what you do, Papa?" Yasaka asked as she was paying attention to his wisdom. "Yes, and so much more, dear," Naruto said sadly as he took her hand. "But Papa has a lot of hardships to go through as leader. They can be overwhelming, and it makes me want to quit, but I push forward, knowing that every action I do today can heal you when you become Empress." Yasaka hugged Naruto and kissed his cheek. "Thank you, Papa," she said as she snuggled into his neck. "No problem, Yasaka," Naruto said as he hugged her back. Skip, October 10th. Naruto snored as he slept, not even noticing that Hilda and Akasha arrived in his home, the three of them walking quietly through the compound with Domamaru and Toshimi. Yasaka opened the door, and instantly, she and Akasha took running jumps onto Naruto, their feet slamming into Naruto's stomach. Naruto's eyes bulged out of their sockets as all the air in him was forced out of his body. "Happy birthday, Papa/Uncle/Naruto," they all declared as Naruto gripped his stomach in pain. "Why?" Naruto thought as he recovered, before he blinked. "It's my birthday today. I'm 32. And you still look like you're in your early 20s. Kurama stated as he and the tailed beasts watched through Naruto's eyes as he was hugged by Yasaka and Akasha. "Come on, Papa, breakfast is done," Yasaka urged as she took Naruto's hand and tried to pull him towards the dining area. "Yasaka, please let me get dressed," Naruto begged as he was still waking up and in some pain. "No, Uncle needs to go now," Akasha stated as she pulled Naruto's opposite arm. Naruto groaned. He got up and they all made their way to breakfast, which had traditional Japanese and Romania breakfast dishes. "Thank you, you didn't have to do this," Naruto thanked Hilda, Domamaru, and Toshimi. "It is nothing, boss," Domamaru stated with a thumbs up with his webbed fingers. "I enjoyed learning new meals, so it was worth it," Toshimi stated with a smile. "I knew it was a good idea to make you something delicious," Hilda replied, since she knew how to cook from her time as a servant in Castle Beldam all those years ago. "Presents," Akasha and Yasaka shouted as they held up small packages. Naruto smiled as he accepted both and opened Akasha's gift, which was in box. He chuckled as he opened. Inside was a small ceramic fox sculpture. Think of the Avatar Kurama Pop Funko. It was 10 centimeters in height and 4 in width. Its 9 tails swaying behind it. It was a glossy orange color with black markings, similar to Naruto's tailed beast mode. "Mommy told me about how you stopped the faction war with animal avatars, so I used her description of the fox as a base," Akasha explained happily, an embarrassed blush on her cheeks as she anxiously waited for Naruto's response. "Thank you, Akasha," Naruto said as he held it up, smiling. "I will keep it on my desk and I will think of you when I look at it." Akasha smiled with her cheeks burning red. "I love it, Akasha," Naruto said as he hugged his niece, kissing her head. Akasha's smile looked like it was splitting her head in half as steam came from her ears. "My turn," Yasaka shouted as she pushed her gift into Naruto's hand, a large rectangle that was covered in cloth. Naruto removed the cloth and went still. It was an ink painting of him, Tamamo, Yasaka, Adrian, Akasha, and Hilda, smiling happily together. It wasn't perfect, but it was clear that love and care was put into each stroke to be as accurate as possible. "Did you make this, Yasaka?" Naruto asked as everyone looked at the painting. Yasaka smiled proudly as she put her hands on her hips. "Of course, I did," she declared equally as proud. Naruto felt his eyes water as he looked at the painting, seeing Tamamo and Adrian smiling at him. Hilda felt her emotions well inside of her but kept them in check. "Thank you, Yasaka." Naruto thanked as he hugged her. "I love it." Yasaka felt so happy at those words. The small group spent the day together, smiling and laughing, enjoying each other's company in the small amount of time in the day, which felt very short. All the while, Off-Eyes watched with a soft smile as Naruto enjoyed his birthday, desperately wishing she could join him in the merriment. "Happy birthday, Ashira," she whispered. "Gadou, Rain Tensei no Jutsu," Naruto declared, remembering the face that this jutsu revived Fukusaku and all the leaf shinobi pain had killed during his assault on the leaf. Did I not do it right? Naruto thought in a panic as he charged more chakra. Ram sign, snake sign. Gadou, Rain Tensei no Jutsu. Naruto shouted, praying, hoping, and wishing it would revive Adrian. Nothing. More. Naruto thought as his tears streaked down his cheeks as he proceeded to do the ram and snake signs a third time. Gadou, Rain Tensei no Jutsu. Naruto shouted with a choked ending. Naruto. Don't. Naruto shouted as he trembled. I can. Naruto stopped when he saw a green warp portal appear 10 meters away from him. Ayak, a teenage with brown hair, yellow shirt, and blue pants shouted as he fell out of the portal. Shuyu, burp, p, Morty. An elderly man in a white lab coat, blue shirt, and brown pants with spiky blue hair with a bald spot said as he walked out with a liquor bottle. Oh, God Rick, where the hell are we? Morty asked as he looked around. Rick drunkenly looked around and gasped when he saw Naruto and Adrian's corpse. Oh shit, he shouted as he pulled out a plasma gun and shot Naruto in the head, gray matter and blood exploding from Naruto's head. We need to get the fuck out of here, Morty, we are in a fanfiction world. Morty let out a terrified scream as Rick pulled out his portal gun, nearly dropping it in his drunken panic and fired a portal, both jumping in as Off-Eyes was forming. You bastards. Off-Eyes thought as she finished appearing, anger on her face as her magic started to leak out of her, shaking the earth to its core. I will hunt you down and show you the truest form of hell. Spring, 1367, Kyoto. Papa, I want to start my training. Yasaka, age 14, stated with her hands on her hips. As a young woman entering adulthood, Yasaka's hips had widened and her breasts were starting to bud, which was covered by her kimono. She was taller, reaching up to under Naruto's chin. Her hair was currently let down, reaching just above the bas of her tail. Naruto, age 37, blinked as he was currently outside practicing his frog kata to keep his body in shape and to not lose his muscle memory. Why? Naruto asked as he relaxed. Aren't your tutors training you? Training me to be leader, not a fighter. Yasaka whined as she glared at Naruto. I want to be able to do the things you can do. She really is your child, Naruto. Kurama laughed. Naruto nervously chuckled as he remembered his childhood in Konoha. Wanting to get stronger to become Hokage and get recognition. Papa. Yasaka mumbled when she thought he was ignoring her. Oh, sorry, got lost in thought. Naruto chuckled as he put his hand on Yasaka's head, rubbing it and getting a purr from her. I will help you in your training, but we will start with the basics. Yasaka smiled happily. But we will start tomorrow morning. Naruto noted as he looked up and saw that the sun was going to set soon. Yasaka deflated. Ah. She whined with her ears flat on her head as she put on her best puppy dog eyes and pouty lips. No, it would be pointless to start now, Yasaka. Naruto replied as he pinched her cheeks lightly. Yasaka pouted and pushed Naruto in the chest, making him release her face. Stupid papa. Yasaka huffed as she stormed off, smirking a bit when she knew Naruto wasn't looking. Well, she is at that age. Naruto thought as he followed his daughter. I should call them too. Next day. Yasaka's eyes twitched. Papa, I thought you said you were going to be training me. Yasaka asked. She was wearing a white training gi that had the red Uzumaki spiral on its back. What is the problem? Akasha, age 14, asked. She, like Akasha, had grown much taller, reaching just under Naruto's chin. Her long pink hair had recently been cut short and put into a bob with long pins, since she didn't want it to get in her face while training. She also wore a white training gi with Uzumaki spiral. Like Yasaka, her hips had started to form more and her breasts were growing in, albeit a bit smaller than Yasaka's. Well, I thought it would be fun if you two trained together. Naruto answered as he scratched his chin. But truth be told, I am only teaching basic control exercises, so I won't be teaching Akasha any fighting techniques. Vlad and Hilda will take care of that. I understand, uncle. Akasha answered respectfully. She knew that Naruto wanted to help them both, but his techniques didn't suit her biology as a vampire, who used magic. However, Akasha smiled as she appreciated the opportunity to train with her uncle and cousin. I thought it would be just me. Yasaka thought with a pout as she crossed her arms. Alright you two, Naruto announced, getting the teens' attention. I can tell that you both have a fair amount of power within you, but can you control it? Akasha didn't answer, knowing it was rhetorical, while Yasaka faltered. Are you serious? Yasaka asked as she slumped. Naruto sighed. Okay, but can you do this? Naruto asked as he walked up to a tree and put one foot on it, and then the other, and proceeded to walk up the tree trunk. Your first step is to climb these trees without your hands. How do we do this, uncle? I mean, sensei. Akasha asked as she could not tell how Naruto was doing this. Aha, that is a simple question. Naruto stated as he jumped off the tree, did a flip, and landed gracefully onto the ground. You use your chakra, well, magic in your case Akasha. You focus it into the soles of your feet, which is one of the hardest points have chakra and magic go to. Akasha and Yasaka nodded and they picked a tree, focusing their respectful power into their feet. They have a large amount of power. Naruto thought proudly as he could feel how strong their personal wells of chakra and magic went. They roughly have a single tail's worth of power. Jayaki noted. Very impressive for people so young, but with you and Adrian being their dads, it isn't that surprising. Naruto shrugged as Akasha took off in a sprint towards her tree and took 3 steps up before she slipped, landing on one of the tree roots. Yasaka, meanwhile, ran up her tree, having taken a total of 8 steps, each one breaking the bark of the tree before on the 9th step she was blown off said tree, landing several meters away. Damn. Yasaka stated angrily. So, sensei, Akasha asked as she got up, soothing the pain in her back. Too much causes one to be shot off the tree, while too little makes you slip off. Precisely, Akasha. Naruto praised as he patted her head, making her happy she was right. Yasaka glared at her cousin before she got up and tried again, this time falling after 2 steps. You don't need to rush this, Yasaka. Naruto said as he helped her up. Yasaka didn't respond as she sat up, raising an eyebrow when Naruto handed her a kunai. Use these to cut the tree to keep track of your progress. Naruto stated as he handed one to Akasha. I'll be back in a few hours. I have a meeting. You aren't going to stay and watch, Papa? Yasaka asked as she got up to her feet. I can't, and I have given you the tools to complete this training. Naruto answered as he turned to walk to the meeting. I believe in you both, keep that in mind. Naruto smirked as he walked out of the small clearing. We await your return, sensei. Akasha said respectfully as she bowed. Yasaka scowled, upset that Naruto was not taking their training seriously, and got back to running up the tree. She was blown off immediately. Akasha winced when Yasaka hit the ground again. Yasaka, I think you should. Shut up and leave me alone. Yasaka snapped, making Akasha take a step back. Now upset herself, Akasha huffed and returned to her training, spending extra time focusing her magic into her feet. I didn't use enough last time. She thought as she put more magic through the soles of her bare feet. So, I need more. She sprinted, and made it up the tree with 20 steps before she cut the tree and pushed off the tree of her own accord and landed on her feet. Wow. Akasha thought as she realized how much further she got than before. Okay, let's try that same amount again. Yasaka hit the ground once more, being blown off with the highest she got was 4 steps, due to the number of cuts on the tree. She had tried nearly a dozen times. Why can't I do this? She thought angrily as she rested to catch her breath. She punched the ground, leaving a deep indent in the ground. Damn it. Yasaka thought as got up and tried again. Akasha was at the halfway point and stopped, looking at Yasaka continue to fail. Why is she having so much trouble? Akasha thought as she stood still, keeping the steady stream of magic in her feet, keeping her safely on the tree. Akasha frowned as she cut the tree and jumped down, moving quickly to catch Yasaka who fell again. I got you. Akasha said as Yasaka was baffled. Akasha caught her. Why did you do that? Yasaka snipped as she got out of Akasha's grasp. I didn't need your help. Akasha felt anger welling inside her chest, but pushed it down. She didn't say anything as she returned to her tree and continued her training. Yasaka, meanwhile, kept trying and continued to not break the halfway point. Meanwhile, Naruto lulled in and out as he and Zeus were listening to many of their council members talk about trade, training tactics, and other things that the two had agreed would help their alliance. God, this is boring. Naruto thought as he leaned into his hand. Did you go through this, Grandpa, to Mamo? He closed his eyes, still listening to the babbling of the council before he turned his focus onto Akasha and Yasaka, having been keeping an eye on them since he left. Seems Akasha has made progress, while Yasaka hasn't. Naruto thought. She is too angry, and that is ruining her focus. Naruto was pulled from his thoughts as he was addressed personally. Back with Akasha and Yasaka. Yasaka watched as Akasha walked up and down her tree with no issues, gritting her teeth as she focused on adding her chakra to her feet. She ran to the tree, and in 5 steps, which blew holes 2 inches deep into the wood, was blown off the tree again. Damn it! Yasaka thought as she threw her kunai through 4 trees before it vanished. You are too angry. Yasaka turned and saw Afaiz, holding the kunai Yasaka threw. Who are you? Yasaka asked as she put her guard up. Afaiz smiled. You have grown up into a real beauty, Yasaka. Afaiz thought as she balanced the tip of the kunai on her finger. You need to stay calm, because your anger is messing with your focus. Yasaka glared at this stranger. What would you know? Yasaka demanded. Afaiz looked at the tree Yasaka had been using, seeing all the broken bark. You are just like your father, Princess Yasaka. Afaiz said respectfully, not wanting to reveal her connection to her granddaughter. Impatient, easily agitated, and loud. A tick mark appeared on Yasaka's forehead. Why you? Yasaka started to say before she felt Afaiz flick her in the forehead, making her hands shoot for her head. Ow. That clear your thoughts? Afaiz asked as she looked at Yasaka. Yasaka blinked. Her mind did feel less clouded. Now, why don't you try it again? Afaiz said as she handed Yasaka the kunai. Yasaka took it and focused her chakra, and after a short amount of time, she sprinted and made it 2/3 of the way up the tree before she cut the tree and jumped off. Whoa, I was able to do it. Yasaka said in amazement, turning to face Afaiz. Thank you, huh. Afaiz had vanished. Yasaka, what are you looking at? Akasha asked loudly from the top of her tree, sitting in the branches to rest a bit before she would climb down. No, nothing, just thought I heard something. Yasaka replied, not really sure if she had seen anyone, but touching her sore forehead proved to her that she hadn't imagined it. Who was that person? I couldn't feel her presence at all. You okay? Akasha asked as she landed on the ground and walked up to Yasaka. You are acting strange. Yasaka shook her head and looked at Akasha. Hey, I am sorry for about my attitude earlier, Akasha. Yasaka apologized. Akasha blinked, and smiled. I forgive you. Akasha said as she hugged Yasaka. Now, let's see how far you can go. Yasaka smirked at the challenge and channeled chakra into her feet, and then sprinted up the whole tree, surprising both the kitsune and the vampire as Yasaka made it to the top, cut the top before jumping off. Shit. Yasaka thought as she hit a branch, messing up her landing, only to thankfully be caught by Akasha again. Once back on the ground, Yasaka hugged Akasha again. Thank you for catching me. Yasaka thanked as she released Akasha. It's not a big deal, unlike your butt. Akasha said as she slapped Yasaka in the ass, making her yelp. Ow, you bitch. Yasaka shouted with a smirk as Akasha grinned. Yasaka tackled Akasha, wrestling her to the ground before putting her in a choke hold. Uncle, uncle. Akasha shouted as she tapped Yasaka's shoulder. Yasaka released and they started laughing as they lay on the ground, looking up at the sun as it neared its peak. You want some lunch? Yasaka asked as she gathered her breath. Sure, you're paying. Akasha replied. What? I made it to the top of my tree first, so you get to buy me lunch. Akasha pointed out as she sat up. That's not fair, we weren't competing. Yasaka replied as she sat up. Boo-hoo, you owe me lunch for saving your fat butt twice today. Akasha stated as she pointed at her cousin. Yasaka sighed and threw her hands up. Fine. She said with a big grin. I'll buy lunch today. Akasha sighed with a smirk. But, let's relax a bit. Akasha said as she got up, covered in dirt and sweat. She helped Yasaka up, who tripped Akasha and took off running, blowing a raspberry at the pink vampire, who chased after her as Yasaka laughed. They rested, got lunch, and then returned to their training. When Naruto returned to the forest hours later, he smiled proudly as he watched Yasaka and Akasha chase each other through the trees, putting their control to the test with a game of tag. Alright you two, that's enough for today. Naruto called out to them. Let's get you washed and have dinner. Okay. Akasha and Yasaka called as they jumped out of the trees. Naruto patted them on the heads. I am so proud of you both. Naruto said as they smiled as he rubbed their heads. I was surprised that you two were able to get it done so fast. It took me 3 days when I was 12. Oh, so Papa isn't as great as he claims to be. Yasaka giggled before she let out a pained scream as Naruto pinched the tip of her ear. Ow, 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 ow. Naruto released her ear and sighed. Let's get you in the bath, you stink. Naruto mentioned as their sweat coated their training gi and their bare skin. Okay. Yasaka mumbled as she recovered from her punishment. Yes, sensei. Akasha replied. Bath area. Naruto finished scrubbing his hair with soap and picked up a nearby bucket full of cold water and poured it over himself, washing away all the soap. Nearby, Yasaka rinsed her hair and proceeded to run soap through her tail, soaking it in soap before she rinsed it as well. Akasha, with her hair down to her shoulders, rinsed her body off and wrapped her hair up in a towel and a towel around her body. Yasaka tied her long hair up and wrapped a towel around it before she stood up, not bothering of covering herself as she left the bath and headed out to the hot spring. Naruto followed her after her with Akasha behind him, embarrassed since she was not used to bathing with others. She was Romanian, so different cultures. Aaaaik. Yasaka sighed in content as she eased herself into the warm water, her breasts floating slightly in the water. Naruto smiled as his muscles relaxed in the water. Akasha, still wearing the towel, got in and sat near Yasaka, not taking the towel off. You should take that off. Yasaka stated as she noticed said towel. No. I am fine. Akasha responded before she felt Yasaka grab the edge and pull, making Akasha grab and pull it back. Yasaka, if Akasha is feeling uncomfortable, let her keep the towel. Naruto said, not even opening his eyes as he relaxed. Stop it now, or else. Yasaka released Akasha, making her tumble backwards and fall into the water fully. Fine, Papa. Yasaka muttered as she sat back down, next to her father and leaned into him. Akasha resurfaced and leaned against the edge, her heart feeling pain that she hadn't felt in a long time. Uncle Naruto. Akasha said nervously, which got Naruto to open his eyes. Yes, dear. Can you tell me about my dad? Akasha asked as she sat on the opposite side of Naruto. Mom doesn't talk much about him, and neither do Grandma and Grandpa. Naruto understood why. If they told her anything, Akasha would most likely ask what happened to Adrian. Hilda, Vlad, nor Lisa wanted to tell her about how Adrian died, not wanting to harm her relationship with Naruto, who was a father figure to her. Well, what do you want to know? Naruto asked, his memories of Adrian brought to the surface. How did you and Dad meet? Akasha asked as she and Yasaka paid attention, since Yasaka had never met her uncle Adrian. Let's see. Naruto said as he scratched his chin. It was long ago, when I was a young boy at the age of 12. I worked for your great-grandfather at his tea shop. The Jasmine Dragon. Yasaka said as she knew about Iroha's love of tea and his beloved shop. Said shop had been sealed by Naruto into a scroll, not wanting to leave it to anyone else to run it. And by sealing it away, he could use it as a transportable base if he was out and about on any ambassador missions. At least it was when he was doing that, he hadn't had the chance to use it since he became emperor. Yes, the Jasmine Dragon. After my work day was over, I went to play with Domamaru, and we ran into Adrian when he and your grandpa Vlad were looking for Iroha. Naruto told them. Adrian was 14, but we hit it off pretty well. And we spent a of time together ever since. That's boring. Yasaka said, glancing at Akasha, who was still paying attention to Naruto, not wanting to miss anything. When did he meet Mom? Akasha asked. Naruto answered every question Akasha had, from how her parents met, to how they acted, and to how Adrian was so happy to be a daddy who could not wait to hold her. But, How did Dad die? Akasha asked, fear sinking in when she saw the look of guilt and regret etch itself on Naruto's face. I think that is a story for another day. Naruto said as he stood up, the water falling from his body back into the hot spring. Come on, let's go eat dinner. Okay, Papa/Uncle Naruto. Akasha and Yasaka replied, both confused on why Naruto was avoiding the question. As they ate dinner, Naruto ate alone on the porch. Adrian. He thought solemnly as he propped his sword against his shoulder. He took comfort in knowing he still had this sword, and was happy to be helping raise Akasha, but he still worried about how she would react when Akasha learned that Naruto took Adrian's life. It is going to happen eventually, but hopefully, by the time it does, she is old enough to understand. Naruto thought as he continued to eat. Chapter 20, done. Omake, Interdimensional Visitors, Part 2, oh, thank God, Morty. Rick gasped as he entered the citadel of Ricks. We made it safely out of that fanfiction world, but we killed that guy, Rick. Morty said nervously as he and Rick were alone in the citadel, as many of the Ricks and Mortys are sleeping. Don't worry Morty, we will be. Rick started before a snake burst from his chest. Oh my God, Rick. Morty screamed as the snake turned to him and constricted around him before choking him to death. Off-Eyes returned to her lowly form after the life left Morty's eyes, returning her attention to Rick as he injected himself with nanobots that healed his wounds. You won't get away. Off-Eyes said coldly as she summoned snakes made of magic. No. Rick shouted as he turned to run, only to feel fangs sink into his back. What's going on here? Off-Eyes looked around and saw hundreds of Ricks and Mortys. Some were cowboys, some were fish variants, there were Cronenberg versions, and people versions, and many, many more versions that looked like the ones she just murdered. Should have known it would not be this easy. Off-Eyes thought as she prepared to slaughter the entire citadel. On Earth. Damn it, Rick, that's the last time I am taking your bullshit. C-137 Morty shouted at the Rick as they got out of his car. What are you going to do, Morty? Rick drunkenly demanded as he grabbed his grandson. You can't do shit to me you little cocklicker. Morty snarled and reached into his pocket, pulling out a device that had the Citadel emblem. I can't do anything, but you can. Morty shouted as he hit the button. Morty you little bastard. Rick shouted as he lunged at Morty, in an attempt to stop him for signaling the Citadel as a warp portal appeared. Instead of the anticipated Ricks and Mortys, the two were given the horrifying truth. The Citadel had been coated in blood and organs, and in the center was a small angry Off-Eyes, who turned and saw Rick and Morty. Seems a mother's job is never done, even when she kills all of the pests. Off-Eyes stated angrily as she appeared before them and killed Rick and Morty. She would spend the rest of eternity slaying all Rick and Mortys who she could find, her anger at the loss of her son never stemming. And she became a mythological creature of galactic legend throughout all realities. August, 1367, Constanta, Romania, evening. Naruto walked along the shore of the Black Sea with Hilda. It's so cold here. Naruto said as he shuffled with his Haori closer to him. Well, it is the shore, Naruto. Hilda said as she laughed at his behavior. Naruto shivered as he and Hilda continued their walk. Thank you for coming with me, Naruto. Hilda said as she walked beside him. It means a lot to me. We are celebrating Adrian's death, so it means a lot to me too. Naruto said as he continued to walk carefully. Hilda held a sad smile as she stopped and looked down at a small crop of land that jutted out into the water. Right there, she mentioned as she pointed. That is where Adrian asked me out. Then a few years later, he proposed at that same spot. She started to get choked up as tears welled up in her eyes. Naruto wrapped his arm around her shoulders, giving her his comfort. The widow of the Teeps family took a few minutes to recollect herself, her eyes stinging from the cold air and the tears her red puffy eyes had shed. They continued walking as the sun started to set. We would walk from here to the castle when we would be close by, due to the castle's teleportation ability. Hilda continued as she wiped her eyes. I see. Naruto answered as he didn't want to say anything to further upset Hilda. When I was pregnant with Akasha, Adrian carried me here and we spent the whole day on that beach. Hilda remembered as she saw a beach a few thousand meters away. He pampered me and made me feel like a princess, despite my status as a low-class vampire. Naruto chuckled at this. Adrian never saw status as the thing to look for in relationships. Naruto said, making Hilda laugh as she remembered that. He always treated everyone kindly, and it was something that many people didn't expect from him. Hilda added. That too. Naruto replied as the two laughed. They walked in silence before they walked onto the beach and entered a cave. Is this where you wanted to bring me? Naruto asked, not understanding why she wanted to come to a cave. You'll see. Hilda said as she patiently waited. After a handful of minutes, a door appeared with a tiny cat sign that read, Western Restaurant Nikoya, on a sign shaped like a cat. Western Restaurant Nikoya. Naruto read, since it was in English. Hilda walked up to the door and opened it. A small bell rang as she did. Welcome. A cute demon girl said with a bright smile. Oh, Lady Hilda, you're back. And who is this gentleman? The master asked as he stepped from the kitchen to greet his guest. This is my friend, Naruto Uzumaki. Hilda replied with a kind smile. We are here with a reservation. Yes, of course, the anniversary of your late husband's death. The master said sadly. We shall inform all customers to be respectful tonight. Naruto was so confused as this room wasn't normal. It had advanced technology and a decor that he didn't recognize. Hilda, where are we? Naruto asked as the waitress walked them to a table. The restaurant to another world. Hilda stated as she took her coat off, revealing her dark gray and black dress with lace on the shoulders and chest area and at the edges of her skirt. The black fabric had a floral pattern on it, and with her hair up the way it was, gave her an elegant appearance. Adrian took me here on our third date. A restaurant to another world. Naruto repeated as he pulled a chair out for her, to which he pushed it under her when she went to sit down, like a gentleman. Once he sat down, they were given menus. I am Aletta, please, take your time. Aletta said as she poured them water. Today's special is the seafood platter. Thank you, Aletta. Hilda thanked as she accepted the menu and opened it. Thank you. Naruto thanked as he took his. Aletta walked into the back, just as the door opened and a new person entered. I am back. Kuro announced telepathically, making all of the people present who she connected to look at her. Welcome back, Kuro. The master said as he got preparations ready. A dragon. Naruto and Hilda thought as they could feel the aura from Kuro as she went to the back to help prepare. You doing alright? Naruto asked once he made up his mind, putting his menu down. Yes, much better that you are here with me, Naruto. Hilda replied as she looked at him. Have you considered remarrying? Naruto would be ideal. The maid asked curiously. Hilda's face became red, which she hid as she put the menu across her face to hide her flushed cheeks. Stupid, don't think about that. She thought as she glanced at Naruto. He was looking around at the fancy decor, not really paying attention. Hilda shook her head to rid herself of their thoughts. Are you ready to make your orders? Aletta asked. They placed their orders and the waitress walked into the back and brought out 2 mugs of beer. To Adrian Teeps, Naruto stated as he held up his mug. A brother in all but blood, and a devoted husband. Here, here. Hilda said as they clinked their mugs and started to drink unceremoniously. Ack, that hits the spot. Naruto admitted, since he drank ever so often, but not excessively. It does. Hilda replied as she put her mug down and waited for her drunkenness to kick in, so she could slowly enjoy it with food. Naruto silently enjoyed his beer. It's totally different from the alcohol in our world. Naruto thought before he turned towards the kitchen. Excuse me, master. But what year is it here? The master blinked. It is currently August of 2017. Oh. Naruto replied, before his eyes, all 3 of them, snapped open. What? Sir, what is wrong? The master asked in shock from Naruto's random outburst. Naruto, you're making a scene. Hilda stated as she took a gulp of beer. But, didn't you hear the year? Naruto stammered. Where we came from it's 1367, and he says it's 2017. Hilda sighed and reached up, pinching Naruto's nose. Just calm down. We didn't time travel. Hilda explained as she released his now aching nose. We went to another world where it is farther into the future. So, no matter what we do here, we won't harm anything. Still slightly overwhelmed, Naruto started to calm down, his body and mind starting to feel the drunk from the amount of beer he had consumed. Here you go. Kuro said as she carried their orders. The seafood platter special and a 1 large serving of curry. Thank you, can we get another round of beer? Naruto asked as he finished his mug. Of course. Kuro responded as she went into the back to refill their mugs. Thank you for the food. Naruto said as he clapped his hands together before picking up his spoon to eat his curry. Hilda picked up her fork and took a scallop, dipping it in some tartar sauce before eating it. So good, Hilda and Naruto thought happily. Here are your refills. Kuro spoke as she placed them down. Thank you. Naruto replied as he took his drink. As they ate, a few more patrons arrived. A samurai warrior. An elder mage. A half-elf. Oh, my. Quite the rowdy bunch. The elder mage said as he saw Naruto and Hilda enjoying their meal with vigor. Yes, and a newcomer I see. The samurai said as he didn't recognize Naruto. Welcome. Aletta greeted as she stepped up. Please, take a seat where there is space and I will be around shortly with some water. Don't worry about the menus, we want our regular orders. The elder mage said as he and the samurai sat at the bar. The half-elf took an interest and sat next to Hilda and Naruto. Excuse me, but would you be okay if I asked you a question? She said as she felt a little nervous when Naruto and Hilda looked at her. Of course, but, what's your name? Naruto asked as his eyes drooped, having drank too fast. My apologies, my name is Victoria Samanark. Victoria introduced with a polite tone. I am pleased to make your acquaintance. I am. Hilda replied, pausing as she zoned out a bit. Hilda Teeps. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto answered before shoving a spoon of curry into his mouth. Victoria giggled. Are you a hybrid? Naruto asked as he took notice of her magic in her ears. Elf, human. Yes, I am a half-elf. Victoria explained. Chuckle neat. Naruto chuckled. Now, for my questions. Victoria started to ask before Hilda burped loudly, face blushing as she covered her mouth. Sorry. She mumbled. Victoria's sweat dropped. Well, I was wondering, I have seen you here before, quite a few times. And some time ago, you came here with a different man. Victoria mentioned as she saw the rings on Naruto's and Hilda's fingers. Oh no, we aren't dating. Hilda stated blushing as she felt panic. My husband passed away and we were just celebrating his life today. God, what am I saying? Oh, I am sorry. Victoria apologized. You two seemed like a cute couple, all dressed up nicely and all. I am sorry for assuming. Naruto let out a hearty laugh as he nearly fell over. No, it's cool. Just not our relationship. Naruto stated as he went to drink, before he realized he was out of beer. Excuse me, can I get another beer? Coming right up. Kuro replied. Hilda's blush didn't leave her face as she shoveled her food into her mouth, downing the crispy fried fish with beer. After an hour, Naruto and Hilda paid for their meal with some gold Hilda had brought with her, and the two stumbled out of the restaurant. Please, do come again. The master said as he shut the door. That was delicious. Naruto declared as he was seeing triple. Sadly, only Saturday. Hilda muttered as she swayed in her step, her jacket in her arms as she shivered. Cold. Naruto took off his haori and put it over her shoulders. Thank you. Hilda replied as she held it close, forgetting she had her jacket in her arms. Let's, castle. Naruto grumbled as he took Hilda's hand and opened a very sloppy portal above Hilda's bed with his Rain Sharingan. Hilda tripped and pulled Naruto through the portal by the hand and they landed on her bed, Naruto landing on top of Hilda. The portal and Naruto eye closed as he tried to get off the bed. Sorry. Naruto said before he was stopped, Hilda grabbing his shoulder. Hilda, let me go. Hilda didn't release his shoulder. She was red in the face as Naruto towered over her on her own bed. Well, the maid said as she propped her chin in the palm of her hand, her fingers going up her cheek. You and Akasha do spend a lot of time with Naruto and Yasaka. You are a widow and Master Naruto is a widower. If you two got married, then the alliance between our factions will become even stronger. Hilda's lip trembled as she looked at Naruto's face. You, alright? Naruto asked as he looked at her. Hilda pulled Naruto down and locked lips with him. Naruto's eyes widened as his brain registered what she was doing, before he relaxed and kissed her back, wrapping his arms around her waist. Hilda reached up and undid her hair as she shoved her tongue into Naruto's mouth, pushing him onto his back as she sat on him. She pulled off of him and pulled off her dress, it hitting the floor as she was in her chemise, the light fabric not hiding anything as she removed Naruto's obi and pulled his kimono off of him, leaving him naked. Hilda leaned down and licked Naruto's pecs as Naruto reached under her chemise and grabbed her ass cheeks. Hilda moaned as she rubbed her hands up and down Naruto's torso, feeling his muscles as she grinded against his crotch, which was getting aroused as she was getting wet. Ha! Hilda gasped when Naruto spanked her ass. Ha! Yes, I like it hard. Sat up and removed the chemise, leaving her with her stockings on her legs. Naruto grabbed Hilda's breast, causing her to gasp in ecstasy. Naruto proceeded to grope and fondle Hilda's breasts as she moaned out loud before she began to kiss Naruto as she ground her bare mound against Naruto's dick, showing how moist she was. Seeing this, Naruto felt Hilda shift to be at his side, her hand wrapping around his dick as she kissed him, jerking him off. Naruto's toes curled at the sensations of a different hand on his dick, expertly stroking him. I hope you didn't think it would be that easy, Naruto, Hilda gasped with a seductive glint in her eyes. Because nothing I am doing here is free. Naruto shivered when he saw that look in her eye before she began to kiss his neck. She kissed her way down his neck and chest, slowly making her way to his dick. Hilda stared at Naruto's erect, 8-inch member with half-lidded eyes that were shining with lust. Bringing her face closer to it, she brought out her slick tongue and began licking Naruto's member, coating it heavily in her saliva. Hearing Naruto's moa and groans brought a smirk to Hilda's face before she did something that shocked Naruto and brought him a great amount of pleasure. Hilda went to the top of his dick, and in one swift motion, swallowed his dick whole, her tongue sticking out around his dick, lapping at his testicles. Naruto groaned again before he looked down at Hilda, who was staring at him with a challenging look in her eyes. Naruto's eyebrow twitched a little at the look before he sent her a challenging grin as he entered sage mode. Hilda could feel a different sensation of Naruto's penis as she bobbed up and down. It seems better against my tongue. Hilda thought as she moved over and sat her pussy atop Naruto's face. Naruto wrapped his arms around her hips, pulling her into him as he delved into her lower lips like a starved animal. HMMPH. Hilda moaned as she gyrated over Naruto's face as he ate her out. Her moans sent vibrations through his dick into his spine, increasing the sensation of her mouth on his dick. Naruto lightly thrust it into her mouth, tapping against her throat. They continued to face fuck each other before they climaxed, Hilda spraying over Naruto's face as he spurted into her mouth. He tastes different. Hilda thought as her cheeks puffed with Naruto's jizz. It is gooey and pungent. Not at all bad. She swallowed what was in her mouth and finished sucking out the rest of Naruto's cum from his member as she slowly slid off of it. Naruto, with his nose and mouth coated in Hilda's cum, watched as Hilda seemed to be moving his cum around the inside of her mouth, tasting it and savoring it, before she saw that he was staring right at her. Eyes wide and his erection was back in full force when she opened her mouth while tilting her head back so as to not let any of her treat fall out of her mouth, showing as she moved her tongue around the sea of cum in her mouth before she closed her mouth and Naruto heard an audible gulp. Hilda then looked at Naruto as she was panting with her red face even more red as they gasped for oxygen. The two crashed their lips together as they began to make out and feel each other up with Hilda gripping his erection and rubbing it while Naruto groped her breasts with one hand and began fingering her with the other. The two were moaning and groaning as they continued feeling each other up before Naruto moved his hands to Hilda's ass and picked her up with Hilda wrapping her legs around his waist. The two then started to moan even louder as they began grinding their genitals together without actual penetration. However, Hilda's eyes suddenly widened and rolled into the back of her head as she squealed and began to rapidly grind her hips against Naruto when she felt entering her soaked pussy. So warm. Naruto gasped as he kept his grip on her. It's been years. Hilda stuttered as she felt like putty. Since sex. Hilda lifted herself until Naruto's member was about to be fully pulled out before she slammed down on it. Naruto's eyes nearly popped out of his head when he felt how tight and wet Hilda was. It didn't help that her pussy was constantly clenching and tightening before loosening up and doing it all over again. The sensation was bringing so much pleasure to Naruto that his knees felt weak and he fell to the bed. However, since both of them were still connected, when they hit the bed, this had the effect of Naruto slamming even further into Hilda, entering her womb and sending both of them over the edge as Hilda's head shot up and her eyes rolled into the BA of her head. Meanwhile, Naruto shot forward and wrapped his arms around Hilda while his mouth wrapped around one of her nipples and began to harshly suck on it, extending Hilda's orgasm and bringing her even more pleasure as the two of them were bucking th hips. After roughly a minute, the two managed to come down from their orgasm-induced high, and they looked at each other in the eye, seeing nothing but love and admiration for the other. They slowly put their lips together as they kissed, with this being different from the kisses of pure lust that they had been giving each other. This was a kiss of intense, heated lust that the two couldn't help but moan into the kiss. Ha, ha, ha. Hilda gasped as she released Naruto from the kiss. Naruto collapsed beside her, sweat coating the both of them as they gasped for air. Amazing. Hilda moaned as she felt sleep overtake her as her drunken mind clocked out. Naruto groggily looked up at the ceiling as his consciousness started to fade. He fell asleep, only to be harshly awakened in the morning by loud knocking at Hilda's bedroom door. Shut up. Naruto thought as he could feel his hangover hitting him like a mountain. Papa, I have come to pick you up. Yasaka said on the opposite side of the door, making his eyes snap open as his aching senses were pushed into maximum overdrive. Are you even awake? Wait. Naruto called out as he shot up, stepping on the floor only to slip and fall face first into the ground as Yasaka opened the door. Papa, are you awake? Yasaka said as she walked in and saw Naruto naked with Hilda on the bed with her back and ass exposed as she slept. Yasaka. Naruto gasped as he looked up to see Yasaka's eyes wide in horror. Naruto, who is it? Hilda groaned as she turned, wiping her eyes as she did, which widened as she shot up, covering herself as she saw Yasaka. Hey, Yasaka, what is? Mom, Uncle. Akasha gasped when she arrived, shocked to see her mom and Naruto naked. Wallachia. Akasha, Hilda, what is going on? Lisa asked as she took notice of the living room atmosphere. Naruto and Hilda, freshly showered and dressed, sat across from Akasha and Yasaka. Did something happen? Vlad asked, since he and Lisa had been vacationing at a small island called Jamaica. The two adults didn't respond. Dear, I think we should leave them be. Vlad said as he put his hand on Lisa's shoulder. Okay. She said with worry as she left her daughter-in-law and granddaughter alone with Naruto and Yasaka. In the uncomfortable silence, Naruto could sense, thanks to Kurama, the high emotions both teens were feeling. Yasaka's emotions were spiraling quickly, pulsating with irritation with an underside of aggression sizzling in the back. Akasha, while her emotions also spiraled quickly, was calmer and felt like it was trying to be rational. Akasha, Yasaka, about this morning. Hilda started to say as she took a pause, unsure of what to say without it sounding like an excuse. Yasaka stood up, anger evident from her glare at the two adults. You are seriously going to try to explain this to us? She shouted. We both saw you naked in bed, what can you say that can try to pursue us to believe otherwise? Yasaka, let them explain. Akasha said in a calm manner, only for Yasaka to turn on her. Are you going to just accept this? Yasaka snapped as she pointed at Naruto and Hilda. They fucked each other and you are okay. Let's hear them out. Akasha stated as she stood up quickly. Jumping to conclusions like this isn't getting any of us anywhere. Yasaka sat down, arms crossed. Thank you, Akasha. Naruto thanked as Akasha sat down. Akasha weakly smiled as she nodded. No, for what happened last night. Hilda stated, her stomach doing flips with butterflies as she was nervous. We were. She proceeded to explain what had happened, and it did nothing but fuel Yasaka's aggression while Akasha was willing to listen. And then, you found us this morning. Hilda said as steam rose from her face, which was red. And then we are here, telling you this. Naruto finished. Yasaka grit her teeth. That all sounds like an excuse to me. She stated. You only did that because you were drunk. Ha, what a convenient excuse, Papa. Yasaka, please, believe me. Naruto begged. I would have never done this. I love Hilda, but not in a romantic way. I love Naruto in a non-romantic way either, Yasaka. Hilda added. We were emotionally vulnerable. I understand. Akasha stated, honestly accepting and forgiving her mother and uncle. This is bullshit. Yasaka shouted as she jumped up and kicked the coffee table. I don't believe a single word you spouted. Naruto got upset, scowling at his daughter for her behavior. Young lady, we don't use that kind of language. Naruto stated sternly as he stood up. Fuck you. Yasaka shouted as she got into Naruto's face, still being shorter than him. She had grabbed his kimono and pulled him down. You spit on Mama's and Uncle Adrian's memory by fucking his widow. The widow made by you. Hilda and Naruto's eyes widened. Yasaka, that's stupid. Akasha stated as she got up and pulled Yasaka's hands off of Naruto. There is no way uncle killed dad, right uncle, mom? Hilda and Naruto didn't respond, their faces stuck with horror and guilt. Where did you hear that, Yasaka? Hilda asked nervously as she felt fear freeze her blood. My teachers told me when they were teaching history. Yasaka replied, panting in anger. Guilt and horror that Yasaka felt full force with her untrained negative emotions sensing ability, making her grip her head, wincing in pain from the intensity of these emotions. Uncle? Akasha asked nervously as she didn't want to believe what Yasaka had said. It's not true, is it? Akasha looked at the faces of Hilda and Naruto, now having shifted to worry as they avoided her gaze. As the truth settled in, Akasha's eyes widened as she stepped away from Naruto. It can't be true. She stammered, tears starting to well in her eyes. Akasha. Naruto said as he reached towards her, only for his hand to be slapped away by the tearful vampire. You. She choked as her tears started to stream down her cheeks. Murderer. Naruto went still, his eyes shadowed by his hair. Naruto, are you okay? Hilda asked as she was torn to comfort her daughter and friend. Nothing to say, Papa. Yasaka asked as her anger was started to stem. Naruto slowly turned, a portal opening as his Rhine sharing and opened and he walked through it, the portal closing as soon as he did. Akasha cried as she collapsed to the ground, Hilda kneeling to catch her, tears in her own eyes as she hugged her daughter tightly. Vlad stormed into the room, seeing the mess Akasha was in. Hilda, what happened? Vlad asked in concern as he stepped past Yasaka, kneeling to check his granddaughter, who didn't stop crying. Grandpa. Akasha choked, nose dripping snot in her watery eyes pouring tears like waterfalls as she grabbed his arm. Did uncle kill dad? Vlad went still as his eyes widened, glancing at Hilda. Who told you this? Vlad asked calmly, wanting to help his precious grandchild. I did. Yasaka stated as she put her hands on her hips. Papa and Auntie Hilda had sex, and I pointed out how messed up it was when he slept with Auntie Hilda after the fact that he killed. Slap. Yasaka's cheek turned red as the stinging sensation ran across her cheek. Her eyes wide in surprise as Vlad had spun around and slapped her as hard as he could, sending her to the ground. You. He stated in anger as he took heavy breaths, his sclera turning red as his magic started to shake the teleporting castle. Insolent child. You not only hurt my family, but yours as well. Vlad. Hilda said nervously as she grabbed his wrist, her other arm around Akasha's shoulders as the teen choked and her cries started to calm down. Vlad's fingers flexed as he regained his senses, taking a few gasps of air before he turned his attention back to the kitsune. You have no idea the burden your father has carried these 15 years. Vlad stated as Hilda took Akasha out of the room, the pink-haired vampire hiccuping into her mother's hug. Naruto did not kill my son because he wanted to, he did it to protect his people, your mother, and you. But. No buts, Yasaka. Vlad snapped. Naruto took this very hard, so to hear you, his daughter, throw that in his face is something that harms him more than any injury he has ever sustained. And in hurting you, you hurt my family. I'm sorry. Yasaka pathetically apologized as she was scared. She had been talked to like this before by Naruto, but never with this much intensity. Her tail quivered between her legs as her ears lay flat against her head as she shook with fear, tears forming as she felt her throat become scratchy. I am not the one you need to apologize to. Vlad stated as he knelt down and extended his hand to the kitsune. Come on, we will go apologize to Hilda. Yasaka took some time to recover from her fear, her eyes watering as she nervously took his hand. Shame and guilt racked havoc in her body as she took shaky step after shaky step towards Akasha's room with Vlad. As they neared, they could hear Akasha's cries, and the whirlpool of emotions that Yasaka could feel made her feel worse. Hilda. Vlad said as he opened the door, seeing mother and daughter on the bed, Akasha laying her head across Hilda's lap, allowing Hilda to rub her daughter's head as said teen was sleeping. Yes, Vlad. Hilda asked in a choked voice, taking notice of Yasaka, who was very nervous and withdrawn. Vlad glanced at Yasaka and nudged her forward. Yasaka got on her knees and bowed, pressing her head against the floorboards. I am sorry. She choked, her scratchy throat coming back, making it difficult to speak. I have brought great shame to your family. Please forgive me. Hilda blinked as she wiped away a tear. Flashback. I am sorry. Naruto replied in a cracked tone with heavy amounts of guilt. I tried to stop him, but I had to do what was necessary. Hilda broke out crying as Naruto stopped before them and placed her husband before them carefully. What happened? Vlad asked as he held his wife, who was shaken to the core, nearly falling to the ground. Carmilla. Naruto stated as he looked the vampire in the eyes, which were wide at the accusation. She did this. She had Adrian turned into a monster. She turned him onto Kyoto, and I. Naruto grit his teeth as his guilt boiled over, falling to his knees and slamming his head against the ground. I had to kill him when I couldn't save him. He choked out as he started to cry again. Please, forgive me. Flashback end. I forgive you. Hilda replied as she gently moved away from the bed, putting Akasha on her bed before she knelt before Yasaka. I know I hurt you, too. I am so sorry that I have caused this, please, forgive me. Yasaka looked up, and could feel and see the regret in her aunt's eyes, making her lip tremble as she scooted forward and hugged Hilda tightly, tears streaming down her face as Hilda hugged her back. I forgive you. Yasaka choked, muffled from Hilda's boobs. Thank you. Hilda said as she rubbed Yasaka's head to help soothe the frazzled kitsune. Meanwhile, INE fishing village. Naruto sat upside down on the bottom of a pier, fishing pole on hand as he fished absent-mindedly. You can come out. Naruto said in a dull tone as he reeled in his line, having caught a small fish. Heh, guess we couldn't hide from you anymore. Behind Naruto was Naruto, both of them. Is this the hell you said you'd turn my life into? Naruto asked as he baited his hook and then cast, even though he was upside down. You could say that, but my partner here is all about balance. Nature said as he pointed his umbrella towards his female counterpart, who smiled as she approached Naruto. Don't listen to him, Naruto. Nature said as she sat next to him. Your life, while full of doubt, misery, and sadness, has also been full of love, bonds, and happiness. Naruto didn't respond, knowing that what she said was true. He turned his head and the two were gone. What are you doing here? Naruto turned his head to face forward, only to nearly fall into the water when he saw Off Eyes so close to his face, floating before him. Jesus! Naruto shouted as he wobbled before settling down quickly. No, just me. Off Eyes said as she continued to float. You need to go home. Naruto frowned, dropping to the water since he dropped his fishing pole, grabbing it. I don't want to. Naruto said sadly. I know it would be better to wait a bit longer. Your daughter is frantically looking for you. Off Eyes informed him, making Naruto turn to her. She wants to talk to you, and with you here and not there, she can't do that. Naruto didn't respond as he stepped through a portal, back in Kyoto instantly. Yasaka! Naruto called out in his home, only to hear someone running towards him, the door opening to show Yasaka before she jumped him. I'm sorry Papa. She cried into his chest. I was in the wrong with what I said, please forgive me. Yasaka, I am the one who should apologize. Naruto said as he held Yasaka. Hilda and I hurt both you and Akasha. I know it sounds like an excuse, but I never intended for that to happen. So, please, forgive me. Yasaka nodded multiple times as her tears soaked his kimono. Of course, Papa. I forgive you. She choked, pulling back to show her snot connecting to his clothes. Love you so much. I love you too, Yasaka. Naruto replied as he picked her up, bridal style. Let's get into the hot spring, you need it. 1368. Yasaka, age 15, screamed as she fell into the boiling water. Come on, Yasaka, I know you can do it. Naruto, age 38, stated as he watched her fall. Yasaka got out of the large body of water. They were in the nearby hot spring village with Naruto having rented one of them and set the boiling seal to its max temperature for Yasaka's water walking training. She had cloth wrapped around her B-cup breasts and a fundashi to hide her lower region in case there was a pervert nearby. And because Naruto made her wear them. Just like her mother, her nudity doesn't bother her. Naruto thought as he remembered Tamamo walking around the compound during the summer heat completely naked as a child and as an adult. Yasaka shook in pain as her flawless skin was now red and steaming hot as her pain receptors stung. He is sadistic. she thought as she got back on her feet and channeled chakra into her feet. It's different than tree climbing, this isn't about steady flow. What is different? Yasaka ran onto the water, her feet making it 4 steps before she sank to her knees, pain increasing as said body parts were under boiling water. Good job, Yasaka, you're getting the hang of it. Naruto said as he walked across the hot water, not phased, and helped her out, carrying her. Let's call it a day for now. Fine. Yasaka whined, secretly happy that she was done with this training. When can I start training in your jutsu? The raise non. Naruto smirked as he put Yasaka down, handing her a towel. When your chakra control is at the appropriate level. Naruto reminded her, making Yasaka pout. Have some patience, Yasaka. Like Grandpa Iroh would say, be careful for what you wish for, Naruto. Nature is not always kind to its subjects. He had told her that several times. For the last 6 months, Naruto had made sure her tree climbing was as perfect as his, playing tag and making it fun, and when she would ask for other training, Naruto said to be patient and wait. But I am getting bored with this simple training. Yasaka pouted as she dried herself off. It's boring to get burned. Her eyes faltered and she became sad, ears and tail drooping. Yeah, since Akasha refuses to visit. Naruto murmured as he finished drying his hair. Since that day, Akasha had not visited, not even for Yasaka's birthday. I want to visit, but I hurt her so much. Yasaka said in self-loathing. I wish I could return to that time and smack myself. Naruto put his hand on her head. It's best to learn from your mistakes, because if you never have them, then you would never grow. Naruto said wisely. Because you had many mistakes? Yasaka asked. Hundreds. Naruto answered with a light chuckle. Yasaka slumped. Mama would be mad at me. She mumbled. Maybe she would surprise me with her reactions. Naruto stated as he and Yasaka entered the dressing room. We must not allow what-ifs to consume us, always remember to look forward with your head held high, and have unclouded eyes. Wallachia. Hyah. Akasha shouted as she punched Vlad, only for him to dodge and tap her extended fist, only for her to be slammed into the ground. Okay, let's take a break, Akasha. Vlad said as he helped Akasha up. Akasha, age 15, gasped for air as she accepted her grandfather's help. She had grown her hair out, now up to her shoulder blades, tied into a ponytail, her bangs framing her face. Thank you, grandfather. She gasped as he handed her some water. You are slowly getting the basics of the black arts. Vlad said proudly as he drank water. But I can see in your moves that you are troubled by something. Akasha didn't respond nor did she meet his gaze. Vlad sighed as he got up. You still undecided? Akasha nodded, not seeing a reason to lie to her grandfather. I know you know this already, but it was not easy for Naruto to do what he needed to do. Vlad restated. I know. Akasha mumbled as she put her water down. But, it is too hard, to know my uncle had to take Dad's life. She gripped her hands together tightly. I just don't know, should I still love him or should I scorn him? Akasha stated in anger toward herself. This was one of the few things she could not calmly decide. Her whole world felt like it had been shattered. Her beloved uncle, her father figure, having been the one to take the life of her dad. Was that the reason why he was even around us? Akasha asked Vlad. I don't have the answer. Vlad replied. You would have to ask Naruto that question when you see him next. Akasha flinched. I don't think I can. Akasha replied. I do miss Yasaka, and have forgiven her for revealing the information, but uncle. I know, it won't be easy, dear. Vlad stated as he put his hand on her shoulder. Even Adrian would be stuck if he was in your position. Akasha didn't respond. You know, Adrian was very happy to have Naruto as a friend. Vlad told her as he scooted next to her. Yes, Adrian didn't have many friends, servants didn't count to him, but he did appreciate them. But when he met Naruto, I could tell that he had met someone special to him. Vlad continued. I see that with your friendship with Yasaka, and history has repeated itself with what happened 6 months ago. How? Akasha asked. Because, when I saw Naruto holding your father's body, he was such a wreck that I thought he would break due to having hurt our family. Vlad told her, rubbing her head. And Yasaka felt the same way when she apologized to Hilda, I bet she could it too. Akasha stayed silent as she looked at the ground. I know that whatever the path you choose to follow will be the path I will support, Vlad said as he stood up. Now let's continue your training. Yes, grandfather, Akasha answered as she stood up, taking her fighting stance.